So to talk about what's the goal of D&D, is above all, the way I like to run it is it's a collaborative story. Our goal is not to win or to lose, or for your character to win or lose, or for me to kill your characters or to mystify you. We want to collectively make a great story together. And that's the core of it, and that leads to a few things. So we want to say yes to each other. Just like you're doing like improvisational comedy or theater, you try to roll with what's there. You need a bit of separation from your character. You'll discover that horrible things happening to your character, or terrible die rolls that you have, are often the most memorable parts of D&D. It's the failures and the things that completely screw up that can be a lot of fun. I know you'll get attached to your characters, and I'll try to be fair. But you try to say yes to what's going on. Say yes to each other. Try not to belittle or mock or question each other. People might be trying on an accent. They might be playing a character that's very different than the person that's sitting in front of you. This might be their opportunity to escape into a very different kind of personality. So don't hold that back. Try to approve of each other's choices that way. Also, keep in mind that your PC player character is different than the player. So the character may do something that might make you sort of mad, at least make your character mad. Just remember, try not to let it leak out, right? You can still be friends as players, even if as characters you disagree about something. That can be really fun to have clashes of values and clashes of decisions. I do try to keep the group unified. This is supposed to be a cooperative experience. You're not here to fight each other. Bad things happen if you start fighting each other, but disagreeing with each other can be fun. Just make sure you don't judge each other by the PC's actions. Now, I will try to say yes to your ideas. I would love to say yes to absolutely everything, and there's some RPGs that encourage that. D&D is much more structured, and I want to make sure you can go to any game anywhere and still be able to play. So I can't be too liberal, otherwise you might come across a DM that totally contradicts you. So I'll often say yes, to your ideas as much as I can. There are a few modifications. I might say, yes, that's a good idea. I'll give you a bonus on the roll you're about to make. I'll have these little glass beads. That means I'll give you a +1 or a +2 on that roll, because that's a nice little thing to consider. It doesn't automatically win, but your chances now are better. So I might say yes there. I might say, yes, but you're going to have to roll really high. This is very unlikely you can succeed, but you're willing to give it a shot. So that's sort of a yes if. I might say, yes, when you're higher level, like, oh, you're describing something awesome. That's something your character will be able to do at level 3. But you got to build yourself up to that. I don't want to ruin the fun of becoming level 3 by giving you that stuff now, right? So that's the other thing. Usually if I say, like, I just can't do that, is I don't want you to challenge the rules too much and sort of get the wrong idea that might ruin you for other DMs. So here we are in the jail cells. Right now, normally we'd introduce all the characters. I love you characterizing yourself, but I'm not going to put you on the spot, and we have too many people for that. So let's just say that you have a collection of elves, dwarves, humans, and halflings in these jail cells. And they are different genders, different colors, different backgrounds, different ages. You can fill all that in as you go. You might want to start thinking about names and thinking about some stories, but I like the idea of you filling in your character's backstory as you go. So maybe start thinking of a name eventually. All right. But you are all tired, dirty, and wounded. I try to tell you how you feel, but I invite you to feel, pretty tired and worn out by this all-night march that you had.
So that's like now, anyway.
Right, exactly. After a hard day at work, you might be feeling that way as well. So, you were sold to these kobolds. There was an exchange of coins, and you're standing outside that cave, and you saw some things happen. You were led down this tunnel while you're blindfolded, and you heard some screaming and some machine sounds off to the left as you were feeling your way along the wall, this narrow cave, as the kobolds are prodding you. You heard the spark of electricity, the bursts of flame, and the clanging of machinery, and it was kind of off to the left. It got louder and louder, and there was sort of like an opening to the left. It was very echoey, like there's a big room that you passed up, but you were sort of past there. But as you did so, as you might recall, you heard this voice saying, the shard, I'll get the shard. Let me at it, I can get it. Let me have the shard, this crazed voice. And then a sound of whirring machinery and like metal going through rock, something very dramatic happening in that room. But you were moved on. As you're in the jail cell now, but sometimes we jump back in time a little bit. We'll do a little bit of sort of retcon. So let's jump back to what happened before you're in the cell, just before, and each of you might have a chance to get a little edge or get a little something using your skills, which is what I'm going to introduce next. All right. So skills are on your character sheet. Let me advise you, before I might skip that part, if you're using this very front sheet, you want to start putting a cross through it and go to the second sheet back. It's the same character, but it's just got some more information. And when you do that, anything that's written on the front sheet, you can just start to transfer on the back. So your hit points, your gold, your treasure, whatever you got, put on that second sheet. The next sheet back is a full character sheet. You don't need to read that at all. Matter of fact, even this next one you just turned to, you don't have to read all this. The stuff down this side of it, you really don't have to. The top stuff is optional. All those personality traits and flaws and bonds, they're just suggestions. You can change all that. Your alignment, for example, good or neutral, whatever else, you can change that. The stuff lower on might have some special skills, but you won't really use these skills today. So mostly you just want to look over at the new stuff revealed, like equipment, languages, the stuff you have in your pockets, and all the things you can do during combat. But don't worry if that confuses you. It's good to be confused. You're new adventurers, right? So you're maybe just discovering how to do these things yourself, and that's kind of part of the mayhem of what happens. So on this part of the sheet, you'll see the part I'm pointing to right now is skills. This little box has a few words on them. And these are things you're especially good at. So, yeah, athletics, intimidation, medicine, arcana, survival, athletics, survival, things like that. These are things that you're especially good at because you've actually worked and trained for quite a long time. Remember, you're fantastically fast learners. That's one of the great things about being you know that you're heroic stuff because you learn so much faster than everybody else. So maybe it's only taken you a month to be as good at these things as some people have practiced for years. And you'll notice, because some people are into the math, like, why is it that way? All these skills are based on your main stats. Remember, from the introduction, we had your statistics, your strength, your intelligence, your dexterity, your charisma. Those all have pluses and maybe a minus, right? Your skills are related to that. So for here, for example, the top one is called Arcana and has int in very tiny letters afterwards. INT stands for intelligence, right? This wizard says Arcana plus 5 based on intelligence. Why is it 5? Well, my intelligence is 3. Right? So matches 3, and then if I've trained, if one that's in these skills in this list, you add 2 to it. Just simple as that. It's a stat plus 2. So all the things here are some statistic that you have plus 2 because you've trained that thing. Just gives you a little bit of extra boost. And this is the number that you add to your D20 when you roll it. So it just makes you a little bit more likely to succeed. If that confuses you, don't worry, I'll walk you through it. That's just a side note for people who like to understand the math behind it. Just suffice to say that the word is pretty self-explanatory. These are things that you're especially good at. And we'll get through those. We'll start off with the cleric, who has the pink sheets. Raise your hand if you're a cleric with a pink sheet. Okay, great. So you, we're going to go through all of you and what sort of moment you have to shine. You clerics. Now, you're caught by kobolds. You remember that kobolds, there's a religious aspect to kobolds. You remember you took some religious studies and you're actually trained in religion. So one of the words on your sheet says religion. That means that you actually study the religions of the world. There's many different gods and things. This is basically intelligence, it's book learning. So this stat is based on your intelligence, but you've got an extra 2 added to it because you have spent so much time on it. So I'll say it's an intelligence check, but it uses your religion if you've got it. And so whoever's following along as a cleric, what is your plus for religion? What does it say next to religion?
+2.
+2. Yeah, so it starts with your intelligence, which is average. Remember, the zero number is just average intelligence. But you get a +2 because of that math that I talked about. So you've studied that and you're trying to, you're doing your best to remember what you know about kobolds. And this is where you'll pick up your D20, each of you who's a cleric. Roll it and add that 2 to it, and remember your roll. Everybody who's a cleric, roll it now. Yeah. Now, when you roll, you can tell me what's on the die, but really what I care about is the math at the end. So the fastest thing is say, just shout out what you got with that on your D20 plus that number. And look at your neighbor's die. Make sure that your neighbor is adding something. Pretty much every time they roll a die, it should be added to something like that. So what number is it?
9.
Yeah?
3.
12.
12, okay. 12 is the magic number in that if you get high enough, you succeed. If you get lower than that, it usually is a matter of luck. It doesn't mean that you suddenly got dumb. It just means that, in your school, you just weren't lucky enough to get the kobold chapter, like you're doing something else. Yeah, exactly. So the cleric, you succeeded on that, and of course you're a group, so at least one of you succeeded, and that's really great. So that means that you remember that kobolds worship dragons. They look like dragons. They have scales and they have dragon-like faces. They speak the language of dragons, as some of you know. Draconic, as you now see, is listed in your language. And so you remember that, oh, they worship dragons like deities, and there are dragon deities. Oh, wait, there's a dragon deity. And you're enough to remember that. Yes, remember the name of an evil dragon deity, the head of all dragons. Her name is Tiamat, T-I-A-M-A-T, Tiamat. She's like a deity among dragons. You have a whole notebook. You can write it anywhere, any space you got. You know, everybody's going to find some place to do that. So you remember, I remember a little bit of a phrase in Draconic. You know, I studied enough, I've memorized it. I'm going to say something to try to scare one of these kobolds that's with me. You basically take the approach like, you should be ashamed. You know, Tiamat would be very ashamed of what you're doing right now, that kind of thing. So when you say that, the kobold next to you says, no, it's not my fault. I just found it. It's not mine. I worship Tiamat. I love Tiamat. Tiamat's great. Here, you take it. I shouldn't have this thing. And they press something into your hand. You can only feel it now because you're blindfolded, but later on you'll see it when you get that mask off. It'll be a red fragment of glass. It's like a mirror, but it's long and thin like it was broken from a larger mirror, and it's blood red in color. You can see your reflection in it. And so now you've got a bit of equipment. So under your equipment section, only the one who succeeded, I'm afraid. You two each had your own individual thing. You try to remember, it's like, God, there's something, they worship somebody, but that day in class, I had to go to this other thing, I missed it. So you got it, you got this thing called a red mirror fragment. So write down red mirror fragment. Wizards, you are very good at arcane energy, and you're feeling it. Like ever since you've been to the Caves of Chaos, you felt chaotic, weird sort of energy radiating around you. And as you're going down this, raise your hand if you're a wizard, by the way. Okay. So you felt these pulses of energy as you were going down this tunnel, blindfolded as you are. And there's this surge of high energy just near your fingertips as you go past, as being prodded past. If you are very good at tuning into this magical frequency and a little bit nimble, you might be able to get the source of this power as you're finding. This is an intelligence check because you've got to remember, sort of like you've got to have sort of the special kind of magic incantation in your mind to feel this. But you're going to use the Arcana skill because you're proficient at it. So wizards, what do you have next to the word Arcana in your skills?
+5.
+5, very good. So that's 3 for your intelligence and 2 because you're proficient. You've studied in books and books of Arcana. So you get to add 5 to your d20, and both of you roll now, please. And add 5 and shout out your total. It's not a good look. That's a look of disappointment.
His face is
It's not a one.
What do you get?
9.
A 9.
6.
A 6. Okay, bad luck, all right? So with this one, there's a few different schools of Arcana, a few different energies, and you'd say, I think it's this one, you just happen to guess wrong, like what kind of energy it was, and so you're really not tuning into it, and then it's behind you. So unfortunately, you didn't figure out what it was, but it seems like there was something small in this cave that maybe you can come back and look for it later on. And often a failure just means it's an opportunity to get something later on. So you might know, it's like, ooh, if I ever have a chance to look around for that thing, I'm going to look for it again. With more time, you think you'll get it. Okay. You Yellow Sheet nobles, you are human fighters with yellow sheet. Raise your hand. Of course, yellow is very easiest spot for me. So you are well-armored fighters. Normally, you'd have a great axe that was taken away from you, but you know you'll get it back. All the stuff in your backpack, by the way, is a lot of the stuff written down there you don't currently have on you. The backpacks are taken away from you, and they're somewhere behind you. Anyway, you are a big and strong warrior. And you went by that noise where all that noise of machinery and shouting was happening. Well, you happened to be close to that side of the cave. And you can feel that there was like a iron bar, like a portcullis, some sort of gate was shut over that entrance to the cave. And because you were close, you were the one that started copying it as something started whipping and hitting you. Like you could just tell like there's a little arm with something flexible that's just like hitting you as you're going by, tittering madly. And you're just like, screw that. It's like it wraps around your arm. You grab the thing, you try to wrestle it out of the hand of this little, probably a kobold that's whipping you with this thing. And this is something where your strength is going to help, but use athletics because it's a tug of war. You know how to do a good tug of war. So what's your athletics score there?
5.
5. So that's 3 for your strength, 2 for proficiency. So this is athletics. Again, every time that somebody next to you rolls, make sure they're actually adding that number properly. Help each other out. Roll your d20 and add 5. Your wrestling skills.
9.
A 9.
12.
A 12. Okay, a 12 is good enough.
Oh, awesome.
Thank you. See, exactly. And there's nothing wrong with getting this wrong. This takes a while to get in that habit, so thank you for helping each other out. 17, very good. Yes, you quite easily. 9 means you got close, you went back and forth a little bit, but slipped out of your hands. Again, bad luck, it's a greasy chain. The chain was quite so greasy and you're nice and strong. So you get it and you hide it in your armor, just like you did that red mirror fragment. You're sort of tucking it in your armor. And you discover later on, when you look at it, it's a loop of a very well-made, shiny silver chain. It's sort of like a drive belt that would be used in a precise machine, this loop. That's what you're being whipped with. And you can stuff that in. You can call it silver machine belt. So underneath the equipment, which is, point out right in the middle there. Yeah. There you go. Silver machine belt. There's a switch. I'm just telling Sam there's a light out there. Okay. So next to silver machine belt, also write something in brackets 5SP. It's made of silver, or at least it's coated with silver. That means you could sell it for 5 silver pieces. Just sheerly the amount of precious metal in it is worth 5 silver pieces. Most vendors would take that. So if you find somebody who's really interested in this kind of thing, you might sell it for a lot more if they really like machinery. So you put 5 SP to designate what it's worth. Okay, good job. And that might come in handy. Folk heroes, you are the green sheets. You're a warrior that has a bow and leather armor. You are an outdoorsy type. So let's go back to when you were outside that cave while the kobolds were negotiating the price to pay for you. You're still outside, and you weren't blindfolded yet at this particular moment to shine. You take a look around. This is going to be based on wisdom, so you are quite good at survival. Survival is listed there because that's like, seeing tracks, reading things in the dirt, knowing what's wrong about the nature around you. So it's based on wisdom, but you'll get that +2. So what's your survival score?
3.
+3, right? So you have 1 for your wisdom, but 2 because you have so much practice surviving. So you're going to add 3 to your D20 rolls. So please do that now. Roll your D20s, add 3, and shout out your total.
Come on.
19.
Great.
Oh, yeah. Oh, also.
That's
Nice.
more than me.
Oh, no, +3. 20, yes.
20, all right, great. Both did very well. Okay, each of you kind of go in different directions, right? Because there seems to be a lot that's happened here. So you see something similar. You see some blood spatters, very faintly, but you're good at reading tracks, and they're on the leaves and on the grass here. And some footprints. Well, the kobolds are distracted, so even though you're manacled, you sort of sidle over and just kind of pretend that you're stretching your legs a little bit, not going very far, and you go over to a bush. You see each of you find a different bush. In the bush is a dead goblin with terrible cuts all over it. And it's holding onto a stoppered bottle, a nice shiny bottle. And its hand is sort of on the top, like it was trying to get it off, but this is dead there, it's been dead for a little while. And so obviously it died with this thing in his hands. You maybe pretend you're sort of tying your shoe or pretend to trip or something, and you pick up this bottle and hide it under your armor, and you take a little look at it before you do. First of all, you see the cap of this. It's sort of like a child-proof cap. You have to sort of twist it. So this not poor, we shouldn't pity goblins. This is a goblin. If anything like the goblins you've heard of, they do all kinds of nasty things. Not all goblins are bad, but these goblins are probably up to no good. So I'm glad I have it, and not it. So they didn't figure out how to open it up. It's like medicine, but you could remove it. You're not going to do it quite yet. The cap though says healing, and then great, it's a healing potion, right? Because you can just tell by how well made it is. But it says below that, under the word healing, SOEC officers only. SOEC is an acronym, like S.O. So something you might want to write down, because you will write down healing potion with SOEC logo. And this is all good that we're getting through the list here, and again, it's a very big group. But it's always good to you try to picture what the other ones are doing. You're sort of participating, even if it's not your turn. It's kind of part of the story. And of course, this potion may save your life. This is very good for the group to have. A healing potion is something if you drink it takes a few seconds to do, but it'll give you hit points. And you can't do it now because you don't have the opportunity, but you might have the opportunity to heal yourself. You can even pour it into someone else's mouth. It's very often that's worn on your belt, so if you're down there, it's customary to see if they have a healing potion. So you can save someone's life. So you've written down on your equipment healing potion with SOEC logo, something a little special. Let's move on to the rogue. You don't really have much. You could probably sell it for a lot of money, but it's probably better to hold. Rogues, blue sheets. We have one rogue or two rogues? We have one rogue. Okay, good. It's good to have a rogue. We have a well-balanced party. Now, as bound up and blind as you are, you're still a rogue, so you hear and feel your favorite thing, which is a coin purse or jingling nearby. It must be one of the kobolds has it hanging from their belt. And this is a dexterity check for you to try to pick the pocket or try to lift this coin purse without the kobold noticing, because of course they'll take it back away from you. So there's a skill that you've learned called sleight of hand. This is something that means you can do things with your fingers and hands that nobody notices. Do you see sleight of hand on your list?
I do.
And what is the number next to it?
+5.
+5. Again, your dexterity, which is 3, 2, because you practice that so much. So now, roll your d20 and add 5 to see if you can get away with this theft.
Yes. Is that 19 or 6? No, 19.
Okay.
19. +5 is 24.
Oh, easy. This is easy. It was very loosely tied. You could have stolen something twice as big. Oh, this is great. So you pocket it and you're able to look at it later. Once you look at it, you'll realize it is a little coin purse made of blood red leather, very nice leather, and something scratched into the leather, very unprofessional, like with a needle, and maybe it's misspelled a little bit. And the writing says, "Devil money, don't touch." Well, you open up the purse a little bit just to look inside, and there's a shiny gold coin in there. Beautiful gold coin. And it's stamped with a kind of sort of face and something that you've never recognized before. Some country minted this that you've never seen.
Manacled?
You're still manacled, but this is at some point in the future you'll notice this. I like describing as we go, so we're kind of jumping around in time a little bit. So don't write it down as just a gold coin because you haven't touched it yet. It's still sealed up in that little bag. Just write down devil money coin, devil money pouch, devil money pouch, and then just put in parentheses 1 GP. That means that if you ever decide to spend it, you have to tell me you're spending it. Like, oh, by the way, I'm spending that devil money. So we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But for now, you have devil money. Okay. So those were skills, right? Some of you had a +5, some of you had a +3, a +2, but it doesn't have a huge effect, but there's little effects on your dice right there.
The learning bonus is like +2 is just arbitrary, right? That's
Yeah, because you're level 1. As you get
Yeah.
to be higher and higher level, you'll start adding 3, 4, and 5. So the higher level you are, you start really specializing that skill. You can do extraordinary things that nobody else can.
Gotcha.
Yeah, your proficiency bonus goes up. Okay. So you're a prisoner. You're wearing your armor. You have all the things you wrote on your sheet, because those are the things you all tucked into your armor as you went along. Those weren't taken away if it's in handwriting. But if it's printed apart from your armor, you don't have it. It's in those backpacks that I told you about. But you think they're nearby. You're bound and hooded. As this happens, now we're back in the cell. Okay, so you're bound, you're hooded, you're very tired. Before you go to sleep, it's always nice to have a little chat with your neighbors. So this is a chance to talk about your character a little bit to your neighbor. Remember that what you can change about your PC. So this stuff here, at the very top it says alignment. You can ignore that. If this is good or bad, you're probably not evil, but you can be evil. It's just that you'll still have to cooperate with each other, even if you're evil. You're evil to everybody else, but your friends here. You can change your alignment. Also, this stuff up here, personality traits, bonds, and flaws, you can ignore that, or they might inspire you. You can keep them or change them if you like. That's totally optional. So also, if you did look at the very last sheet, there's a whole backstory, like you from this town, and you have this goal. Again, you can change all that stuff as well. Don't worry about it. You don't even have to read it. Okay. So turn to your neighbor, just pairing up or in threes. Make up something that you have in common. Try to figure out your immediate neighbor. What do you have in common with that neighbor? Maybe you got on the carriage at the same time. Maybe you know each other. Maybe that's why you got on. Why did you go onto that carriage? Like maybe you have the same reason for going to Timberway Valley. Maybe just know each other from a chance encounter. But maybe you have a little bit of history. So talk with each other. And So want to pair up, right? So try to pair up. Yeah. So you two, just so everybody. So talk to your neighbor. You two. Oh yeah, you got it. You two. Yeah. Go ahead and talk to them. How do you know each other?
Do you want to say you rescued me and then I'm indebted to you? You don't want me there, but I just feel like I'd pass my life.
One of the cameras.
I was going to say we met. I don't know.
So
maybe
I
I
rescue
you from being
Yeah, good.
We split together, it's half hang.
But we're both pretty strong. Yeah, we're both pretty strong.
So we just have a
Potentially.
I'm good at it.
Joe was suffering.
Yeah, I think
You're-
we can
and you're
do
like-
this.
Yeah,
I don't have any relationships. I'm probably gonna make
The second
I'm
one
pretty
is
scared of that.
Sorry, man.
Potential, I mean, we're both coming
lower
from.
class.
From a system.
like carriage, like
I'm trying very hard to not break my feet. Just not.
I didn't do a good job taking Keep talking, we got a couple minutes.
Sorry, like, what's the TV show that you watch already? The character from a TV show.
No, I've got a last name, which is kind of
What's your last name?
it's like this standard and I'm like, that's coming from
Because I'm always polite and respectful, so I don't
Some sort of like.
I don't know if that would assist you.
Well, no, it might be
Good name. Oh,
so I'm thinking that's why I'm
Transfer some of that 25 to my
yeah, we're both strong.
Alright, so
Good, there's another minute, just finish up whatever it's in. If everybody, if you haven't done any talking yet.
I'm not
You say
sure.
my, you say
I'll
my
just
life.
tag it along.
Yeah. You don't want me
Well,
there.
no, it was.
I feel it.
I'm
The first one, like the
Lone
blood sucking
Ranger,
thing, I just remember.
off to adventure alone.
I like that. Sure.
Oh no! It is.
I can talk about anything. Yeah.
So I remember giving you some of the healing berries. You know, these two slides to heal you to at the same time,
Bad boy, younger
drop
sister.
it somewhere.
So wrapping it up, please, and move on. Great. Okay. A few growing pains with the AV, but that's okay. We're good. All right. So, thank you very much for your creativity. This is really a fun part. Some people, this is what they love. Like, if you love that, there's entire RPGs where it's all just basically kind of talking and improvising, all that stuff. So, I like introducing little bits of that as we go. Okay. So, you're exhausted after chatting a little bit, and you go to sleep. Almost you're an elf. Elves don't sleep. Elves, you meditate, and you only need 4 hours of meditation, okay? You don't need a whole 8 hours like those other people do. But you have a bag on your head, so there's not much difference between meditating quietly and sleeping. And after a while, you finish your long rest. This is something that is a very important milestone to get to in D&D, and we'll talk about some things happen when you have a good long rest, which you've finally gotten. You wake up, or come to. One thing, and this is what makes you extraordinary, unlike almost anybody else, all of your hit points come back. So every bit of damage that you've suffered, erase everything under your hit points so that you have your maximum number of hit points now. So everything you've lost up to this point, and this, you're used to this. You can actually, you often do this just with a couple hours of rest. You can start getting your hit points back extraordinarily quickly. Even broken bones, cuts, all that stuff. Mending up your armor, you do very well. Stuff like that. Hit points are also your sort of fighting spirits and how sore you are and how fast you are. So you feel fighting fit again. Okay, good. There's other things that happen, but in case you're wondering if you were to cast any big spells, like you clerics and wizards, you cast spells you can only cast a few times a day. This is the time when you get all of your spell power back and change what spells you're learning sometimes. So that would now happen, but don't worry about that. We didn't do that in the introduction. But now you'll want to start picking. I'll explain how spells work if you get into trouble. Some spells are more powerful than others, and we'll get to that. You are awakened, however, less pleasantly because there's screaming going on. The screaming is from one of the people in your cell. This is someone who was not obviously heroic, but was on the carriage with you. There's a few people like that. They're in these cells. And the kobolds have come in, taken her away, and she's screaming and protesting. Like, oh, come on, don't take me. I don't know anything. Why are you taking me? Why are you taking one of them? I don't know anything. Well, you remember from her voice that this is, you think her name was maybe Thogrim? But she didn't really talk very much. She was dressed in academic robes. She had glasses and she had books that she was constantly reading, and she didn't really share very much information. She's a half orc, so she's quite big and quite toothy, and she was being taken away. That's her screaming. Once she goes down the tunnel, you hear her like disappear down the tunnel that you must have been pulled down. Of course, you're all still trapped in the cell because the door got shut again. So her voice is getting further and further away. You're like, whoa, what are you doing? Why is that thing there? What do you got? What is that thing? Ah! And you hear her start to scream. Now, I won't get into much detail because some people get a little bit queasy. I'll wait for you to signal to me like, okay, Matt, can you stop describing all the gore and blood, please? I don't like it. So I can adapt that. So let's just suffice to say that she is being tortured. Something horrible is happening to her. And she's being questioned, and you hear a voice that doesn't sound like a kobold. It's a low voice, and it's using common language so you can all understand it. And it's just so low sort of questioning about what is this thing? What do you know about it? You got to tell me about it. I'm going to torture you until you tell me. And so this booming voice is coming down, and she's, I don't know anything about it. No, my fingernails. Stuff like that, horrible things. As this voice is talking, there's that strange word with X's and K's in it, like that sort of weird word you'd heard before, and all that. Okay, that's a bit urgent because that's unpleasant. But you're also feeling unpleasant because you're very hungry. Every time you wake up after a long rest, you have to eat, otherwise you'll be a bit weaker today. And you don't have your food. But luckily, there's fungus growing on the floor. The cracks of these bricks are full of a kind of fungus. And desperate as you are, you scratch it up. You sort of pick it out of the cracks. You can kind of shove it up underneath the ring, underneath that bag, and sort of get it to your mouth. You can sort of eat it. It tastes like dirt, but it is nutritious enough that your hunger is satisfied. The bad news is you harvested all of the fungus there was to find in your whole cell. So what are you going to eat tomorrow? You don't know. You're also thirsty. Thirsty is even worse. You get weak very quickly if you don't drink. Well, luckily there are these puddles on the floor. There's drips coming from the ceiling and it's puddling up on this brick floor. And again, you can mash your bag and your face down into these puddles, make the bag wet, and sort of suck the water through the bag. It tastes like metal. It's a really bitter taste. But again, eventually you get enough that you're not thirsty anymore. But again, you've soaked up all the water on the floor. What are you going to drink tomorrow? You also realize you're not feeling very well and you're covered with bites. You woke up, obviously there's fleas here. This is a very dirty cell full of like bones and bits of food and who knows what else and clothes and things. So you've been being bitten by fleas and they seem to be carrying some sort of disease. So we're all going to do a Constitution saving throw, which I'll explain. In your character sheet, this is easy to confuse. There's a little box here next to where your stats are, a little box called saving throws. It repeats all the things like strength, intelligence, and constitution, right? But the numbers aren't the same because some of you have been, again, trained in that particular saving throw. A saving throw is something you do in reaction, is how you react to things happening to you, sometimes in a moment or outside of your immediate control. So some of you might be extra good. You get your constitution bonus, but you add 2 to it, again, that 2, because you've practiced being good at surviving tough environments. Constitution is about toughness, health, robustness, immunity to cold and disease and heat and stuff like that. So everybody look for the little number that says Constitution. Not the big one over on this side, the little one that says Constitution. It might be the same, but if it's higher, it's because if it's higher than the big number on the side, that means you're trained in it. Again, check your neighbor when you do so, but all of you are going to now simultaneously roll a d20 and add your Constitution saving throw bonus.
Let's go.
Yes.
Shout out your math and see.
Total of 12.
Okay, yeah. So again, whatever your neighbor said, make sure they've added the right number to it. Okay. All right. So the tougher the disease, the higher this number needs to be in order to mitigate the disease. The number here has to be 10. If you got a 10 or higher. If you got a 10 or higher, you somewhat resisted the disease, but you still got the bites and still a little bit sick, you lose 1 hit point. So if you rolled a 10 or higher, you minus 1 HP. If you roll 10 or higher. If you roll less than 10, it's twice as bad. You lose 2 HP. So you've rolled a d20, you've added your constitution bonus. If your total was 10 or higher, you lose 1 HP hit point. If you rolled 9 or lower total, if you got a 9 or lower, you lose 2 hit points.
What if I roll like really high?
There are things that can happen. I know, there are things that can happen. And some DMs love that. When it's a smaller group, I love specializing. If you rolled a 20, you rolled a 1, maybe even something worse will happen. But for now, we'll have to say you just feel very proud of yourself on how robust you are.
Yeah.
Do you have a question? Make sure your neighbor got it right? Yeah.
Is it roll plus the constitution?
Yeah, so you roll plus your constitution saving throw bonus. You've rolled a d20.
Which means that you got 11, not
Yeah.
9.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. So if you get 10 or higher, you lose 1.
A 10 or higher, yeah. So your result was 11,
Yes.
which means you lost 1 hit point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. If your total was 9 or lower, you would have lost 2 hit points. This is fine. This is
Yeah,
why
so
we're all learning.
yeah,
Everybody
yeah.
help each other out. Yes, it's easy to get wrong.
Can I confirm? So when you want us to sort of tell you what we've got in our dice, you're really more interested in the total.
In the total.
Of whatever.
Yeah, to save time. I can't see, and I don't. I trust you to just read your die. Just give me the math later on. Yeah. So it's usually the results is what you usually call it.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's very easy to get wrong. That's fine. It's good to check each other because some people will go for a whole session without doing the math right. So it's good to catch each other. Okay. You need to get out of here. You can't survive very long with these kind of conditions. So you start activating on this. You start checking out your surroundings quite urgently. So we're going to split this down the middle. Now, the two of you were maybe talking across this gap because you're not actually in the same cell, but you're having a conversation across. You're maybe 30 feet away from each other. Remember, there's 3 feet to a meter.
10 meters.
Yeah, about 10 meters away from each other. But all of you on this half of the table are in one cell, and you can all meet each other. And you are all in a different cell across the way in the same room. So you can hear each other, but you can't reach each other. So you're going to be operating just within your little subgroup as you try to get your way out of here. A little bit of an escape room that you've got, literally an escape room. So there are also some badly ailing fellow passengers, but they are no help. Like they've suffered through the night, they didn't get their hit points back, so they're really no good. They're only semi-conscious other carriage passengers. The door that is to your cell, there is a door that would swing open, but it's locked. You can feel that there's a keyhole. You can reach through the bars and feel a keyhole on the other side. Rogues can pick locks, but you need your thieves' tools. You can't just pull out a bone or a needle or anything, and your thieves' tools are in your backpack, and you don't know where that is. So you cannot pick the lock to get out of here without your thieves' tools. You've checked that out. Urgency starts arising because you hear that the torturer is starting to come back. You hear that whatever process has happened, you hear Thogram's voice. She's sounding very weak and frantic, but it's very far away. She's like, no, don't take me back there. So why put me back? You know I don't know anything. Like, what, all the things you've done to me, I would have told you. No, don't take me back there. The fleas are going to kill me. And that voice is coming close. You go, I'm going to do this to you again and again, and we're going to do to everybody in that cell until somebody tells me what that thing is. We're going to get answers. And that voice is coming closer. You realize, one of us is going to be next on the torturer's block. So you have a little bit of time to get out of here. Your first goal is to be able to see and be able to free your hands. There's a lot of things that are impossible or very difficult to do until all those things happen. So I urge you to focus first on making sure that everybody on your side, at least everybody in the room, is free of their hands and free of that bag on their head. When sometimes I'll say, show your status, this is just a quick way to communicate. If you have your wrists together, it means I'm still manacled. If you have your eyes covered, it means I can't see. So you can combine them. You can have your wrists apart and say, okay, I can't see, though I'm not manacled. Or I'm manacled and I can see, or I can't see and I'm also manacled, right? This is a quick way to communicate to each other because helping each other out is essential for the following reason. It's hard to work on your own manacles. There's buttons and things like some sort of switches and springs, but you can't reach your own manacles, but you can reach each other's manacles quite easily. The bag on your head, you think it can be maybe broken or torn, but again, with this angle, like your own neck, is just at the wrong angle. But you can maybe go to somebody else's bag and tear it open or break that metal thing. So you can help each other out. If you do want to help yourself, and it's okay to be a bit selfish or self-centered, or maybe nobody's helped you and you've got to help yourself, you'll have what's called disadvantage, so you have less chance of succeeding if you do your own manacles or bag. So help somebody, not yourself, and they have to be on your half of the table. So what do you do? Some things you're naturally better at. Tearing open the bag is an act of strength. The higher your strength score is, again, now we're back to the big numbers, not the saving throw, the big numbers. The higher your strength is, the more likely you are to succeed at tearing open someone's bag. The little buttons and levers and switches on the manacles are dexterity, something that you have to sort of be quite dexterous. So the better you are at that, the better chances you have. You might not be all that great at either one, but also you say, well, I'm not very good at it, but I really want this person to be able to see. I think that's very important based on what that person's plan is. So you start making choices, right? So you can use your dexterity even if your strength is better. Same thing like that. Okay. So we're going to go around the table and everybody take a turn. We're going to go counterclockwise. Start with the people in the city, who maybe been in this situation before. I don't know. And if anyone doesn't have, if anyone on your side of the cell doesn't have their hands or doesn't have their sight, I really encourage you to help them out. But it's still your choice. On your choice, what do? Who are you going to help on your side of the cell, and are you going to get their bag off, or are you going to get their manacles free? We'll decide pretty quickly, but we'll speed up as well.
Oh, okay. I'll try and rip your bag.
Okay, so this is a strength check. Now, this is familiar, but it's just strength, not athletics or anything. Roll your d20 and add your strength bonus. Okay, so you've rolled a 9. What's your strength bonus? 2. Okay, 2, so give me your total.
11.
11. Yes, good job. That is enough to rip the bag open. You now have your bag ripped open. Keep track of whether you got your bag or your manacles, and you'll show that off. So, good job. You rip that open, and now you can see. You're still kind of collecting yourself, and you're looking around. So let's wait for another couple of people to see before I describe what you all see. Okay?
Okay.
Now it's your turn. What do you do? This is all happening in a couple seconds around the table.
And we know which class each.
Yeah, you know each other. You spent a couple days together.
Then I ripped the bag of the wizard on our sides. Bag off.
Okay, that sounds smart. All right, and you're using your strength. So now roll your d20, add your strength bonus to try to get the wizard free.
So that's an 8.
An 8. You strain at it, you almost get it, and a couple stitches pop, but you do not succeed. But I'm going to do something, which, can you give me that backpack over there? I'll do something out in my rush. If you fail at something, I'm going to give you a little glass bead. This is my way of showing that, you have a bonus to use. And in this case, the glass bead means that if you try to rip a bag again, you'll automatically succeed. You'll still roll the dice for reasons that I'll explain that you'll see. You'll still roll the dice. But this, you sort of cash that in next time, and you'll automatically succeed at ripping a bag. So you're getting the hang of it, but you didn't quite get there. So the wizard is no different. What do you do?
Just try to get someone else to see, so we can in our area here. So yeah.
I can see, but I can't do anything.
Yeah, now you can show off. Yeah, again, if you need to communicate, or show your manacles and all that stuff.
Can I try and break the manacles?
You cut the wrists too much; they're very sharp. So
okay,
the
so
strength of the table
just decide at this stage.
Let's slit your wrists. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
Who else needs to see?
Gotta decide quick.
Yeah. Right. All right. Well, let someone see.
Okay. So who's gonna be? Who are you gonna try to get see?
One of the.
Has to be someone on your side of the cell. They're too far away, unfortunately. It has to be somebody on this side of the table.
Someone, yeah. Okay. Anyone. Yeah.
You got to pick. It's your turn.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So you're going to use your strength to try to rip open the bag of this one here. Go for it. Roll a d20. Add your strength bonus.
A 9 plus
a 9
plus the 3. Yeah.
It looks like that's 6 period. It looks like 6. That's a line or a dot. Oh, too bad. 6 plus how much?
3.
Plus 3. 9. Not quite enough. You get a bead as well. So take that. Next, hand that over. Next time, you're guaranteed a success next time. Okay, wizard, what are you going to do?
Okay, well I have 0 strength.
Uh-huh.
So can I use a different skill?
You can use dexterity or strength. And again, this only makes a point or two difference. The die is going to have a lot more effect.
Well, dexterity's got 2, so I'll
Okay, on who? Before, yeah, that's fine.
Oh,
that's fine.
yep.
Okay, great.
Okay, 13 plus 2 is 15.
15. Now that's very good. Again, you're not that great at it, but if you roll very high, sometimes special things happen. You roll 15, which is a great score. Your manacles are now free. You did that so quickly and so well that you can actually free somebody else. So you can pick anybody else on your side to free their manacles. You're that quick.
I'll choose you.
Okay, great. Congratulations. You're next.
All right. I'm going to use strength to try and rip Evie's bag.
Okay.
So
You know the deal now.
17 plus 2.
Ooh, great. 19. Again, so good. You rip open Evie's bag, and you can rip open somebody else's bag. Now show your status. Just show off who still can't see. Cover up your eyes if you can see.
You can't see.
Yeah, it's good to demonstrate. Keep your wrists together or cover. Yeah.
Ultimately, we all need our bags ripped.
Yeah, ultimately, you really want to get everybody free. Once somebody gets totally free, they might start doing something else. That will be for you all to decide. Yeah.
All right. So these 2 bags are now ripped.
Okay, great. All right. A bunch of you can see, quickly, some of you will see, and you're always talking to each other. So let me describe what's in this room now that you can see. there's a dull light in this room, and it seems like there's little bits of fungus and stuff up in the ceiling. Oh, delicious fungus, but it's outside of your cell, and it's sort of lighting this with dim light.
Is it delicious at that point?
So you can see the following. You see that each other's cells, and it's as I described, but the motion catches your eye. I never buried the lead. There's somebody else who's been here the whole time, somebody in the middle of the jail cell. Those of you who have... yes. Does anybody have, if you have a little chip that you got from the previous, if you gave a donation, you got a chip. So put it on your side of the table, just anywhere, because I'll start gesturing that stuff. So if you have a chip, put it there. But everybody's going to get at least a number. And again, this is, so your number, so we'll just do clockwise. Yeah, so put your chip down and put the number 1 next to your chip, because I'll be referring to the numbers sometime. So you're number 2.
Oh.
Just put that there. She's number 3. Number 2, number 1. You're number 3. Just put that on your side there. You're number 4. Scoot that down, put on your side there. And you are number 5. The 6s and the 9s are, just imagine this thing hanging from a peg. So the 6 and the 9 are distinguished that way. You are number 6. So put that on this side of the cell, and just if you have, again, a donation chip, thank you very much for your donation. You get to put that next to it. You are 7. Pass that down. You are 8. Pass that down. Put it on just that side, anywhere on that side. It's not precise. Here's a 9. 0 means 10 because it looks 1-digit things. Okay. So that just means kind of where you are. So just put yourself all the way to that side, that pink one. Just move it all the way to the side of the board. Yeah. And for those of you watching the video, we'll show the board eventually. There's nothing very interesting to look at here. Yeah. So put your chip on that side of the board, and you can move each other's chips around, of course, sanitize and all that stuff that's necessary. Okay. You see in the middle something that I'm going to put a chip on now. Oops, that's the wrong one. And it is a figure. It is a dwarf. So first it looks like, a dwarf in armor. And this armor is covered with red epaulets and a red sash, blood red. However, you notice that you can see through this dwarf somewhat. This dwarf is semi-transparent. Going to have this red shield in the middle. And he is got a high collar around the armor, so you can always just see like the top of a line of beard. And he is marching around sort of with a great deal of focus, and doesn't seem to be looking at all of you. And as he marches around, his feet move, but he realizes his feet are not touching the floor. He's going around like a little tight sort of square around something in the middle of the floor, and that is a trap door in the bottom of the floor. None of you can reach it because it's outside your cells. But the trap door is a big solid one that goes down. There's also a trap door going up from here. You realize you're in a big square room made of brick. Again, about 60 feet by 60 feet. I have to use feet. And then you can see, there's a tunnel to the south. This way is always north when I do maps. So this way is the way you came. So off here is a tunnel, and up to the and what's over on that side. This tunnel is behind some like jail cell doors as well. To the north, you see a pile of backpacks. All of you who will eventually see this. So imagine that you're at least hearing about it, if not seeing it eventually. Your backpacks are all there. You can't reach them because they're in a different cell, but they're behind a closed cell door in a cell to the north, in a big, nice, tasty pile. As this figure marches around, you now are quiet, like you say, wait, he's saying something. And you hear him muttering, open doors on orders. Open doors on orders, marching around. And every once in a while, he looks up to the corner of the room and he gives like a salute. And he moves around, he goes look up in another room, and does like a thumbs up, and moves around like that. Again, pretty much ignoring you. What is he looking at? Up in the corners of the rooms, up high, again, out of all of your reaches, there's this sort of twisted metal, like a couple twisted metal arms are protruding from the brick, and attached to a couple of the metal arms are fragments of red glass, red mirror glass. It looks like maybe there was maybe a whole mirror was there, but it's been shattered and broken. There's a few fragments are left behind. But regardless of it, he's looking at it with intent and just sort of like gesturing to it and doing these thumbs up as he marches around, these two things up in the corners. So this all gives you options. Chiefly, you should still be trying to make sure that everybody can see and everybody, our hands are free. But, some of you might start venturing onto this because you start looking a better look at this cage that you're in. The cage that you're in is a pretty rotten cage. These metal bars felt pretty sturdy, but you realize there's some parts that are very rusty. If you spot a rusty part and you give it a little bit of shake, like, ooh, that's a little bit weak. That might be able to be bent or broken open. It'd be an act of strength to bend the bars if you grab them in the right places now that you can see. If you can't see and if you're manacled, you'll have a disadvantage on that. So make sure you can see or you have your manacled off before you try that, otherwise there's less chance of success. Also, the bars, some of the bars don't go all the way to the top of the ceiling. They're in a sharp, rusty point, like they've sort of rotted away from the water dripping from there, so they've turned into a sort of sharp spike. There's a very narrow gap. Someone who's very dexterous and who might be trained in acrobatics, for example, would be a dexterity check to go over and climb over and do like a sort of a split and sort of twist sort of thing to go over. If you know acrobatics, that's something if you've learned how to contort your body, you'd have a bonus on that. So some of you might have acrobatics listed as a skill, but at least high dexterity. But it's sharp, so if you screw it up, you might hurt yourself. And I believe that gives you a few options of how to get out of here. And, you know, if you have another idea, let me know. But we're going to keep going around. So we've gone to you, and we'll go to the other half now that everybody knows within the cell, but you all are manacled and blinded. What are you going to do to your neighbors?
Well, I've got +3 dexterity, so I was thinking I could open someone's.
Very good. But whose? Yes, pick somebody.
So I've been tossing up between the rogue and the wizard, but I think I might go to rogue.
Okay, good. So roll and add your dexterity.
7.
7. All right. So take one of these beads here, which means the next time we get to you, pass that down. You'll automatically succeed. You automatically succeed at opening manacles if you spend that bead next turn. What are you going to do?
I'm gonna try to do the same thing for the rogue as well.
Okay.
And this time I'll roll better.
I'm glad you have control over that.
Yeah. So
Hey!
15 plus 3 is 18.
18. You did so well that you can free the manacles of the rogue. So rogue, you're now free, and you did so quickly you can free somebody else.
I'll do the wizard, whoever the wizard is.
Aye.
Yeah.
Okay. So wizard, your hand manacles are also off. Very good job. What are you going to do?
What am I going to do?
And everybody show your status to each other in case he's deciding. Good.
I'll free the wizard's eyes so that he can cast a spell if he needs to.
Okay. Good. Could be good.
Aim or
Yes.
whatever he needs to do.
Right on. So that would be strength to try to rip open the bag. Well, this is a choice where, you know,
Sure.
Okay.
the odds are only a little bit different than using your dexterity. So sometimes you choose something that's not your
plus
best
three
stat
dexterity.
because, yeah.
Oh, I'll try it anyway.
Yeah, go ahead. Go for
Okay.
strength. Oh, there you go.
Nice.
Not a
Is that
problem.
18? It must be. So
Yes.
okay.
It's an 18.
It was 18. Yeah, feel free to
Okay.
turn around and help each other out.
That's going to be so that's going to be 17.
17. Oh, because your strength is a little bit low, but that's fine. 17 is great, and you're able to rip off the bag of the one that you just mentioned, and somebody else's bag as well.
Okay. I don't know. I'll go for yours then.
Okay, very good. Again, you're all starting to see the things, and we'll keep going around this table. Start thinking about, like, there's now people getting more free. You can start thinking of doing other things. If you're, especially if your hands are free and you can see, it's a great time to start thinking about other things. But help each other out too. It's a balance. What do you do?
Your manacles are coming off.
Okay. Dexterity roll.
14 plus 2 is 15, 16.
16. Very good. You did so well. Those manacles come off, and somebody else's manacles can come off as well. Who else?
Ranger.
Okay. Fantastic. And what are you going to do, wizard?
Oh, I'm going to. Okay, so we've got some. I'm going to try unmanacle you.
Dave
green
the
sheet.
Destroyer.
All right.
So,
Take the destroyer.
total strength is 5.
Oh dear. So you try, don't succeed, but you have a bead. You can spend that to automatically succeed at that thing next time you try. Now we've gone clockwise, counterclockwise, and it's my turn. I get to be the monsters, and I get to be everything else in the world are also world events. The torture is getting closer. So now the voiceover, this whole round took maybe like 10 seconds, right? You're all doing this simultaneously. It's what's called a combat round, right? And the torture, has got a certain speed, is coming down there, but is not here yet. But you can hear now kobolds are starting to follow. You hear this, kobolds, follow me. We're going to sort this out. We'll maybe get 2 of them this time. And so you realize, the time is getting short, but they are not here yet. Those of you can see the flicker of torchlight down the passage that is coming this way. But we're now going to go around again. We can go faster, same choices. But remember, there's other things you can start doing. It's a balance of how much do you want for each other. What's everybody's status? Show off your status to this person here. Okay. All right. Great. So you decide what to do. in your situation?
You've all got your bags off, correct? It's just the manacles.
Yeah.
It's just a
And
minute.
okay, well, I'll remove your bag.
Yeah, remember those
Manacles.
beads that you have in front of you?
Manacles,
Manacles.
manacles on this one.
Yeah,
Oh, you're only manacles.
That's-
Oh, everyone's only
Everyone's
manacles.
got-
Okay,
everyone's
well,
got
it's
bags.
manacles it is, so I've got an 11.
At 11, that's good enough. So 10 is the number that we're looking for. So your manacles are now free. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next is you.
I do want to ask, the the
Yeah.
bars that have the spine
Yes.
tips,
Mhm.
can I try to flex them and break them so I've got a spear at that point?
You could. You think your spear is in that backpack, so if you can just get out of the cell, you might be able to reach that backpack. It would be what's called an improvised weapon,
Yeah.
so it won't do as well as your great axe, which you can see it poking out of your backpack, but it'll be your choice. As you do, you can do a strength check to bend the bars, and one of the bars you bend could possibly, if you do well enough, could also get you a bit of a
All
spear.
right, I'm going to give that a try. Just
So you're gonna try.
because-
So the main thing is try and bend
Yeah.
bars so everybody can get out, but you might be able to make a weapon out of it if you roll well
Yeah.
enough.
Let's see. Oh, 16, so 19.
19, very good. Okay, yeah, you bend and then break off a massive, big section there. Everybody in the cell with a little bit of climbing, because you want to get at the top, right? It's a little bit uncomfortable. You have to climb over something. You could have bent one of the ones down to the ground, but now he's got his wonderful metal spear. Can now move out of the cell. So your cell is eventually passable.
Yeah.
You now can start introducing the idea of move, right? So now there's no point moving around the cell, but now I'll introduce in the concept. On your turn during battle, you can actually do multiple things. You can move, and you can take an action. There's also a couple other little things you can do. And you can move a little bit, take an action, take another move, or whatever order you like. You've done your action, which is to break that bar off. Now you can move. You can move anywhere else in the cell. You could, we'll do it approximately now. Like, we won't count out the squares on this. You can make it to the closed door behind which your backpacks are. You can run down the tunnel and take on that goblin torturer by yourself with your metal spear.
I believe in you. You can do it.
Or you could position yourself in the room because you know that the enemy's coming this way. So I'm just going to kind of be ready for the enemy to come. Where do you move, if anywhere?
They're coming down a tunnel?
Yeah, the tunnel is on this end and it's coming from this direction. So imagine I'll draw at the break. I'll draw the room itself. But.
So I'd like to stand on the side of the opening.
Okay.
So when they come through.
Ooh, sort of be a bit hidden. Okay, so just
Yeah.
move yourself right there. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll draw.
Right here?
Yeah. I'll draw this opening here, and this is the wall of the cell. So we'll put you there, sort of flattened up against the door. Remind me that you're trying to hide there. Okay. To properly hide takes an action as well, and you're not very good at it. But at least you're not immediately visible until they come right in. Good job. What do you do?
I want to get
Remember these beads. So it's sort of use them or lose them. So give me that bead because that bead will automatically succeed.
Okay.
Yeah, it only lasts for one turn. What about you?
I want to weapon up and do the same thing, but with my weapon.
Okay, yeah, but you want to get your own weapon.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
nothing.
now you can climb out. Now that you've done the way, so you can start off by moving, and now you move. So take your chip and just move it to the north, to that far edge there. Okay. So you've moved through. That's your move.
Yeah.
But you're facing a closed cell door, and the backpacks are too far away for you to reach. What do you do?
Can I try the same strength roll if there's anything to break in?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you look for weak bars. You try to bend the bars on that. Okay. So now your action is to bend the bars. Roll that strength check. Now you got a beat there. Did you try to break the bars last time?
No, I haven't done that yet.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah. So 13 plus 3, so 16.
16. Very good. Give me that beat because sort of a use it or lose it one there for that particular action. But good job.
Okay.
16. All right. So yes, you managed to. The door is there. It doesn't have any really rusty parts. There's right next to it some rusty bars. You bend that open, and you don't try to make a spear out of it. It's a nice wide opening low to the ground that anybody can go in, and you go into the cell, and you're there with your backpacks. You lean back as like, oh, that was great, and the cell door swings open. I never said the door was locked. The door was actually just closed. Nobody checks the door. So anyway, now anybody can come and go into that cell, but you have a nice big bend in the bars as well, which might be useful. You're right near your backpack. I'll introduce a third thing you can do in your turn. You can basically interact with one item. The item might be your whole backpack. You might just put your backpack on or grab somebody else's backpack so that you can maybe give it to them. Or you can get something into your hands from your backpack, presumably. Is there anything in your backpack listed there on the print that you want to get in your hands right now?
Nothing.
Okay.
Well, just my axe. That was my goal to get there. So,
Sure.
yeah,
You got your axe.
Yeah,
So just remember now that you have the axe in your hand. You're next to your backpack because you're over there.
Okay.
What do you do?
Okay, well, I'm still manacled.
Oh,
So,
yeah, so you got to help each
I'm
other
gonna
out.
If you can use your iron bar to break my manacles.
Yeah, but we'll have to go all the way around, and the monsters have a turn before that happens. So maybe there's somebody on this side. But of course, you can get out of the cell. You know,
I'll climb out for the underneath.
just plead for help. You know, so it's their action whether they do it or not. But maybe somebody yet to go might be able to help you with the manacles. You might step over, you know, to just the other side of the bar, so you can stick your arms through the bar so that they can reach it.
Well, there's one of the things that's been
We don't know when they're going to get
it's been bent up from underneath, so I can climb through.
I'll say that again.
There's been a bar taken from the top and one from
Yeah.
the bottom, so I can crawl through.
Yes, yeah. So you can escape from the cell. So yeah, you can move out of the cell and move anywhere you like. Okay, where are you going to move?
I'm going to hide behind the gallery with the bar.
Okay, great. Yeah. So right over here, yeah, maybe on the other side there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have the red shard?
I do.
Can you get the fella in the middle to open that cage for me?
Yeah, I was gonna.
Yeah, so okay, give some suggestions. We'll keep this moving. It's just good to get some suggestions. Okay, so you've moved there. You haven't taken an action yet. Is there anything that you want to do? What are you? You're a wizard?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you can try to hide. Yeah.
Okay. Can
Yeah.
I use like a spell to hide?
There isn't a spell for hide that you know, but most of your spells like do damage to stuff. You can make a hand float around and grab things in the area.
Can I make one? Actually, I'll test the door
Uh-huh.
to see if the door with all the backpacks is locked.
Yeah, so they actually opened up the door already. So as they bent the door, yeah, so the door
All
with
right.
backpacks
Well, in
is
that
locked.
case, I'll grab my own backpack.
Yeah, now as you're on this side, your backpack's over there. You can cast a spell called Mage Hand. Your hand can float over and grab what's called a component pouch. In order to cast spells, you need to have like little bits and pieces or a wand or something. You don't have a wand. You're not that advanced a wizard yet. So let's just say your Mage Hand grabs that stuff. Mage Hand you can cast without any bits and pieces. That's what Mage Hand is for. But now that you have those bits and pieces, all of your spells can now be cast, which is very useful for a wizard. So remember that you've got all the things necessary. What are you going to do?
So, sorry, but I just noticed I have dark vision.
Yes.
I don't know if that's.
That's fine. Yeah, dim light is you can see things a little bit better than average. You're in dim light, and it's sort of things look brighter to you than everybody else. But it's not a huge advantage here. If it were pitch black, it'd be a great advantage.
Right. Okay.
But everybody can see a little bit.
Okay. So, I have low dexterity, but I feel like we need to unmanacle.
Sure.
If
Yeah.
We're gonna get into a fight. So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna try and who's still manacled? Okay.
And then
Yeah. And
Let's,
also,
let's go wizard.
okay, so you have to join the wizard over here near the
Of
entrance.
course. Yeah. Okay.
But that's fine.
Can I?
Mhm.
just
Yep.
move
The
straight
you
there
can
through
move around.
one of the many holes. that
Yeah.
have been
Yeah. Okay.
created?
So help move that scoot that chip over. Yeah.
no, that's this one. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right. So we're gonna try to unmanacle the wizard. All right. Go for it.
All right. Cool.
Dexterity check as usual.
That is a 6.
A 6. You go over, you fumble with it, maybe a little bit out of breath from hustling through, but aren't able to get anywhere. But you do get a bead to automatically succeed at a manacle check later on.
Thank you.
Well, I've got a beat, so I think I'm going to play to my strength. And where are we all at?
Jazz hands.
Did I lose my?
I think you still got your sack.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember, cover your eyes
Yeah.
if you can't see. Put your wrists together if you can't use your hand.
Okay, so because I got my bead from trying to unmanacle someone, can I do that again?
Yes, you can
Okay.
automatically succeed, but if you roll really well, you will do it to 2 people. So
Oh, there's
who's
no
man-
one with a manacle anyway.
There is on this side.
Who's on this side?
Can I do these guys?
You're stuck in the cell. You'd have to climb up and over that edge,
Break
just
a
like
bar.
they did.
Oh no,
Or
no,
break-
that hasn't opened up yet.
So can I?
They have some of those gaps as well. So some of those sharp gaps, if you climb up and over with a dexterity check, maybe hurting yourself if you don't roll well, you can unmanacle someone on this side.
I've got someone who's in
Wait,
a bag.
I'm manacled.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going to take
I'm
care of
also in the bag.
bags.
I can't see anything, so is that
Oh,
gonna affect?
that's true. Yeah. Climbing up and over those bars is gonna be a problem. Yeah. Even though
So,
all the manacles is
I'm manacled.
okay. Good. Then.
oh,
then
you're
I'll make-
manacled.
Yeah.
Oh,
I,
okay.
I
well,
can
I'll,
see, but because he freed me.
Okay.
Oh,
Great.
sorry. I thought you were like
Yeah.
that. All right,
Okay.
cool. I'll free you.
Yep. So automatically roll the die anyway, because if you do really well, you might get some extra bonus of some sort. Okay. Good thing you have that bead. So give me that bead now. But succeed anyway. Okay. Good job. Your manacles are now free. Yes. You're staying where you are because you're blind. That makes sense. Go ahead.
Oh, so you're free, right?
I'm free.
Blindfolded and okay, so we
Yeah.
need the
It's up to you, but yeah, make sure you clearly cover your eyes if you can't see, because otherwise, yeah.
She's the closest thing we've got to
Oh,
a
so you-
tank.
yeah. Oh, so 2 people can't see.
Free.
You're in your own cell.
Yeah, so I want
Yes,
to
sir.
unblindfold the rogue, which
Okay.
means that's my +2 strength.
Strength,
Right?
very good.
Okay.
So come on, Gary needs a new pair of shoes.
He's not getting me.
Take a bead. You will succeed next time if you do that same thing, but this time unsuccessful. Now, are you free? Totally free?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm
Now, you
afraid.
remember you can start to move. You can move. You can still move up and over the bars if you want to get out of the cell, but you're probably better off.
What do I have to roll to get out?
You have to roll a dexterity check. Acrobatics, if you know, but I don't think you're.
I don't have
acrobatics
any
out in the woods.
Acrobatics.
Yeah, but it would be a dexterity check. If
So
you
is
do
that
well
like
enough,
a-
you'll climb up and over. But if you don't do well, you might hurt yourself.
Do it.
You also mentioned
But you're going to be out of the cell.
We can go back. We can go wrong.
trap doors on the top and the bottom of the room.
Yeah, you can check out the trapdoors. They look like they're solidly locked. They look like some sort of locking mechanism. The top one is covered with roots. It looks really like roots have dug in. So that one doesn't look like it can be opened except by chopping away at it.
Oh, at the top, and there's one
There's
on
one
the
on the top.
bottom.
There's one on the bottom that the
On the
red
ground.
figure's walking around, but you can see it's got a solid looking lock mechanism.
Okay,
on
so
it.
why didn't the dwarf spot any of these people?
The
As they go.
dwarf is just basically ignoring it, just open doors on orders and just looking at the red mirrors and stuff like that.
Okay.
Actually, now you think of it, since you got out, the dwarf suddenly sort of notices you out of the cell. He's like, no, that's fine. That's
Why?
fine. No, I wouldn't mention anyway.
Thanks very much.
It's fine. He's like, oh, jailbreak, help, jailbreak. And he's looking up at those sort of like fragments of red mirror, but he's just kind of doing this hoarsely. It doesn't seem like anything immediately happens. But down the hallway, he says, what? Somebody said something about jailbreak. What's going on up there? He's like, jailbreak, help. I can't hear you. So maybe you think the goblin boss is starting to speed up, but that's okay. You're free to go if you want. You can get out of the cell by climbing up into those bars. Otherwise, you can stay here and keep helping people.
Okay.
So
I've got to get down this
I can
side.
either climb or break.
Yes, you can use your strength to try to break the bar open. Yeah.
And just to confirm, the door.
Oh, sorry. No, you have to use
door's
an action
locked,
to break.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
door's locked, right? Like
The door's like, if you checked, it's like, oh, yeah. You
Just
checked
making
over it.
sure.
Yeah, this is my little trick.
And okay, so
Yeah, so climbing over, you just
climbing
do
is
with your
dex-
move. Yeah,
the
climbing
is
over
just
is
yep.
yep.
Okay, so I'm
That's
gonna
dexterity.
try climb over.
Good for it. Yeah, exactly. Heroic, go for it. So roll a dexterity check.
13.
A 13. The good news is you get over. The bad news is you scratch yourself and lose 1 HP. As you sort of do your splits, or you kind of cut your leg, but you now can move your chip into the middle of the room and join anybody that you like. You can that dwarf is the middle. You have other companions there. That's fine. The middle's great.
Yes. So
Take that die back there. Who's got the blue die?
so I want to move towards my towards the backpack.
Yeah. Okay. Good. You go to the backpack. All right.
Cool.
You get one thing out of the backpacks. So one thing that you own, because you still have enough time to just grab one thing,
So
or grab the entire backpack.
so
and
the
start carrying it
rogue
around.
has pick lock.
Yes, you can find the thieves' tools for the rogue. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to grab because everyone else has to jump out, right?
Yes, that's right. Very good. Good
So
thinking.
I'm going to grab the thieves' tools.
Yeah, you grab thieves' tools and basically just toss them over. You can
And,
still be in
yeah.
the same place. Yeah.
Alright,
just
cool, yeah.
just move your chip over on that side because that's where you end. And you now have your thieves' tools from the backpack. Yeah. Just move your
Cool.
chip just over on this side.
Oh, this
Bring it
side.
in. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Okay.
Open the bloody door.
Yeah, so your turn. That was a good move.
Okay.
He's still mad
You're manic about that. Thank you.
I'm free.
No, he is.
No,
You're blindfolded.
Yeah, blindfolded.
Oh, blindfolded. I think a lock, but you can't see the lock anyway. So I say you could do that without disadvantage because you're operating
Yeah,
blind.
yeah, good. As long as you can feel it, you'd be able
Yeah.
to. A good lockpick would. It's fine, right?
What kind of rogue are you? Yeah, of course you can.
Yeah, okay. Do I have to roll?
Yes, that's
Okay.
something that. So this is dexterity, but you get to add
Dexterity.
2. So it's dexterity plus 2. You're proficient in thieves' tools, like being proficient in a skill. You get to add 2. So roll dexterity, add 2.
Okay, I
See
can
if
tell
you
two.
don't 2 is
How do you
because
know
you're
two?
level 1. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
called your proficiency bonus. So if you on the next page, I don't expose it here just to limit
okay.
things. But on the full character sheet, you'll see proficiency bonuses too. You don't have to look. Just trust me, it's 2 for
But
everybody.
okay, then, right. I'll just roll and roll.
Yeah, I layer these things on a little bit at a time.
Okay.
Roll that and add 2 to your dexterity.
9
Wait, no, it's good, but you add 2.
plus 2 is
That made all the difference. At first, your fingers are kind of numb, like, oh, this is not working. But you really think of your training, that 2 made all the difference because the number had to be 10 in order to succeed. So you succeed. The door is open, and now everybody from this point can leave.
Okay.
So all the cells are open for everybody everybody's use.
Welcome,
Good job.
guys.
You've done that action. You can move anywhere you like because you move your chip to a place in the cell that makes sense to you.
I don't know where the cells are because it's.
Yeah, the backpacks are on that far end. The boss is coming from this close end, and there's really nothing on either
Okay,
side.
well, I'll go over here then to the
And the
backpacks.
trap door and the dwarf.
Here's the trapdoor. We'll go over to the backpacks then.
Okay, great.
In that general vicinity.
Okay, great. Yeah, and we'll start speeding things up. But you can get something out of your backpack because you've taken an action. You only have a second to grab something. What's one thing that you want to grab out of your backpack besides your thieves' tools?
Sorry, can I just clarify as well?
Yeah.
The little grunting patrol dude.
Mm-hmm. Yep, right where that red
Is he
shield
just
is.
kind of hanging out in the same room that we are?
Mm-hmm. Yep, he's in the same room. He's just marching around a little tight square around that trap door, saying that same thing
Can he
over and over
actually
again. He's
move?
acting pretty strangely.
Can he actually move away from that square pattern, or is he just like he's going?
He's not doing it. I mean, you can try to you can try to interact with him in some way. Nobody's
He
interacted
seems
with
like
him
an
yet.
apparition because you said his feet are on the ground and he's somewhat
And he's
transparent.
somewhat transparent. Yes.
He's got a harness on to hang from the roof.
Okay, your turn.
Okay, your blindfold's coming off.
Okay.
If I can do that.
Yes, yeah, you have to roll for it because
Yep.
it's strength, right? So
Yeah.
you don't have a bead to spend, do you? Okay. Ah.
15.
All right. Plus your strength is what?
0.
Okay, great. 15. Good job. Your bag is off. You also can rip the bag off of somebody else from your side because you rolled so well.
Ranger, be free.
Finally. Okay, great. Good job. You can also move around if you like.
Can I cast a spell Mage Hand?
Yes, you can. Yeah, you
Get
don't
my,
have.
get my components out of the backpack.
You
for
do.
it.
So you send a little glowing hand, same mage hand spell that we talked about before. When you move your fingers, its fingers move and it can fly across the room, grab very light objects. You can't attack with it or move anything heavy. And you now have your spell component pouch. So
Okay.
that's in the rest of the backpack might be useful, but at least you got your spells.
Okay.
Good job.
Cool.
You can move yourself and make a move somewhere in the side because you're casting.
I'm gonna be wizard. Gonna be over here and try to create like a choke point with the fighter.
Okay.
So when they
all
come
right.
through, we sandwich them.
Okay. Good. All right. Right on. Yours.
Okay, I want to like to know more about these proficiencies, and as a dwarf, I've got this thing called stone cunning, and you
Yes.
said we're in this
Yeah, it's made of brick. Mm-hmm.
brick.
Mm-hmm.
So how can I use my stone cunning to sort of find out some weaknesses or advantages of our environment?
Yeah,
Is
sure.
Is that a
Probably
useful?
that trap door down is probably your most useful thing. Like it looks like it's openable, unlike the one up top. So you can use your stone cunning fair. What's the deal with that trap door? Is that an escape route? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
I would like to try that.
Yeah. So stone cunning, you roll intelligence to try to figure this out, or maybe wisdom. You're trying to perceive something. Why use your +3 for wisdom because that's called perception. But your stone cunning is going to give you a big bonus on this. Just go and roll the d20 and we'll figure it out from here. DMs have to improvise a bit too.
All right. So 6.
Well, it's great. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I've got 0 intelligence.
Let's use wisdom, which is for your perception.
Alright,
yeah,
so
it's
9.
9, but stone kind of think doubles that thing. We'll read about it later. That's enough to figure it out. Again, all these little points matter, right? You figure out that the trap door is opened by a mechanism, and you see the details set into the bricks around the trap door are a bunch of like twisting plates, sort of round plates, and they have some sort of slot in them. But it doesn't look like a keyhole. It's like these plates can be forcibly turned if you just put something large and turn it, right? And you know this because you've studied stone kind of all stuff. This is a classic sort of combination lock, a very simple combination lock, that if they get twisted in a certain order, various things will lock and unlock. The trap door must be one of them because it's right next to the trap door. You take an action to do so, and it'd be like an intelligence check, not using stone cunning. Now it's just trying to figure out the pattern. So as an action, you could do that, but you've used your action to figure that out and tell everybody in the room that somebody who's intelligent might be able to figure out how to operate these little pads that are all around where the ghost is. This apparition, we'll still call it a ghost. That's fine. He is a ghost. That may do all kinds of things if it get operated on. If that sounds like your idea of fun. Okay. Now, it's my turn again.
Don't they have a move action as well?
Yes, you can move anywhere you like. Thank you for that.
Oh, I'll stay put.
Okay. All right. All right. Very
Actually,
good.
no, I will move. No, I have no weapons, so I'll actually stay put where I am.
You can move to where your weapons are. So you can move to your backpack.
Okay.
Yeah, so just go down to where that cluster of where all people are with the backpack.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. And though you've taken an action, at least you're near your backpack and you'll be able to solve that problem pretty well. Okay. Is my turn again? Everybody, what's your status? So do your status. Who's manacled? Who's blindfolded? Manacled. Everybody else is good? Okay. All right. We'll keep that in mind as we go.
Down here, guys. Get you down here. Much the blindfold.
Yeah.
You have run out of
They're all
time
free.
because the torturer arrives.
Was I unmanacled?
I don't know, you have to keep track of it yourself.
Yeah, sorry. I'm going to say yes.
Okay, fair enough. That's good. This makes for a good story. You'll get out of it somehow. The goblin torturer comes in. It is a goblin, and if this will work for me, I'll show you. You see a little picture up there. Oh, that's much smaller than I thought. So, yeah, I'll next time we'll have like an iPad or something to show you these graphics. I didn't think about how small that would be. But goblins you've seen before in the Caves of Chaos, marching in and out. You know the ones raiding. There are very tall goblins called hobgoblins that are leaders. He's not one of those. He's short, but he's very stout. He's quite thick. He also is covered with bones, squashed skulls of some sort, have been sort of turned into a kind of armor from head to toe, so he seems very well equipped. He also has got a belt jingling with all kinds of pliers and saws and needles and bloody stuff, obviously his torture implements. He is dragging Thogrim. Thogrim, during this, has been hit and maybe kicked and punched a couple times and been bleeding very heavily. So he, as he enters this room, he throws Thogrim down, and she's motionless, and it's like the pool of blood is sort of spreading out. You think she's in quite a bit of trouble, but things are starting to happen quite fast. Kobolds go streaming in, the same kobolds that captured you, and they've got their daggers, they've got their slings. Kobolds, I believe I had a picture that I could show earlier, look like this. Yeah, whoops, I messed it up. I've got to get, there we go. That kobold there. So they are getting ready to attack. But as they come in, they seem very fearful, like when they fall like this goblin seems like some sort of boss, because he says, kobolds, two of you get near me, the rest of you attack them. So he seems to be giving them a boss, and so he's not doing anything besides ordering them around. They look fearfully at this goblin. I've shown that. So let's get that monster image again. All right. So we are going to take a little break as we get ready for some combat. Sometimes we would stop here and you have a discussion like, hey, can we talk our way out of this combat? Because D&D does allow diplomacy in combat instead of combat. In the interest of giving people a taste of what combat's like, and also because this is a pretty implacable foe that has been talking about wanting to kill you, you don't think there's time for talking. So prepare for combat. Even if you are very good at talking or you have charm spells, the time for that is not now. So we're going to do some combat. I'll describe what that's like. We will take a break. We'll take 5 minutes. Remember, the loo is over there. You should be able to step outside and back in. I'll be busy drawing the map and sort of resting my brain a little bit, and I'll be cutting this part out of the video, so don't worry about crossing in front of camera. Just try not to knock cords and stuff around as you go. And we'll take it up from there. Check your phones, all that stuff. Thank you very much. You're not using your phones. You're paying good attention to the story. This is your chance to sort of catch up on that stuff. And collaborate on tactics. You might think about, okay, what can I do in combat? What are we going to do
Fellow wizard,
as these enemies come in?
Can we make sure that this
we've got a spell called sleep.
I'm still in my articles are
Yeah,
you
Can you put a group of
time
foes
is
to
frozen,
sleep?
but that's part of your tactics you might want to work on.
If they come through the room, we sleep more.
Yeah.
Doesn't help me.
Yeah, but if they come through, they attack you. They get distracted, then wizards sleep them, and then they go out.
How wide is a sleep spell? That's what I want to know.
It's a good
It's a
spell.
20-foot radius.
So you can
A 20-foot
cast
big
spells.
spell.
Can we have anyone else?
That's what I'm thinking here. Friendly
I don't
fire.
think there's anyone else on this side.
Meanwhile, they have a
You're
guy
the only
here
one that
that
can do something on this
Yeah.
side. I think everyone else is in
I know.
I know. Look at me. Look
She
at
has
me
a
in my
weapon?
little cell.
No,
You're
but she's
protected
tight
there.
cell.
At least you can see now. For a long time, you were like,
I just meant like
Well, I can
weapons
see
and
the
things
ones
like that. but-
All I've got is some.
Okay.
Look, you
My guy
look
is-
at my spells and
go
see
with
what
you.
if you come up
Do
with an idea.
something
That might
there.
be cool.
Yeah. And then go.
I was
You're
going to
basically
say,
gonna
because
be
what
a
I was
little
going to
bit
do
of
was going to grab my
Yes.
two hand
Yeah.
axes.
Yeah.
And honestly,
I'm
I
thinking-
kind of toss
I'll
my two
go
fingers
certainly
at
just to see
you.
if I can
Dwarf, you know, that's
put them all
that's
asleep.
Run away.
Distracted. They're just like, just don't wake
Because I
them.
can
Don't wake
barely
them.
act
Figure out the
20
trapdoor.
feet.
We're
Try to
out.
push
So
them
I
all to the
would be able to possibly throw it to you. So
Isn't
you'd
it-
be
Yeah,
able
but we
to
have
throw
We try to
it.
push them all to the
dexterity. I
trapdoor.
feel like we would.
If you could hold them back like that.
It's first of all, it's not open. Second of all, I don't think it's gonna work.
It's a trapdoor.
Here, and we're all back again. Okay, thank you for returning from the break. All right, we're about to go into combat. So, this is called a set piece combat. This is all material that, if you're on Patreon, you can download the materials that I use for this to make set piece combat easy. I really try to inspire people to be DMs quite easily. A lot of my players turn into DMs within 1 year. And they're intimidated by things. I provide materials to make this as easy as possible. Even if you're not a DM, you might like these videos if you donate on Patreon to see sort of how these things work behind the scenes, the mechanics. But this is a set-piece combat using those materials. This is a big, crunchy, by-the-book combat. D&D is a game within games. This is much more like a board game. It's much more like the kind of war game, which is what D&D was originally created by. Gygax and Arneson were war gamers who would move tanks and build platoons around the field. They had this idea, it's like, what if we did a war game, but instead of being an entire platoon of tanks, you were just one person, but you still did all the war game stuff. You're still fighting and damaging and all that stuff, and that's where D&D was born. So this turns much more into a war game, and that's why square by square position matters. Some people love this about D&D because your character, a lot of what your character can do is relevant in combat. Some people don't like combat very much. I will expose later a quick version of combat. So there's D&D where you can speed combat out and to make it more big. But if you really don't like combat, there's entirely different RPG systems where combat is just like 3 die rolls and it's over in 5 minutes, and the story keeps going. But this is very tactically interesting, and there's great stories that come out of the interaction with the dice, and if you'd only been in that position, or if only that thing had worked out. So we'll go by the book. The other reason why the rules tighten a bit is because there are life or death stakes here. This is where you're in a conflict where your characters can get in great peril or bad things can happen. So it tightens up. So I usually try to say yes and be collaborative. When the rest of the story during combat, I sort of tighten up the criteria a little bit just to sort of get used to that sort of thing. Now, each combat that I do in this first few sessions tries to layer on some new lessons. This one is very basic. It's really about position and role. I've moved your chips around on here. Let me show the top-down map for people who are online. All right. So the brown and yellow are where the enemies are just about to move. I've sort of preset as they're rushing in. They have the initiative on you. So basically, they're moving first in this combat. Normally we do that with dice, but I've just decided that they know this territory very well. They get to move first. The white skull is the goblin boss with a couple kobolds next to it. So no difference between brown and yellow. They're all kobolds. The numbers are you. Now, where you are, make sure you're exactly in a square. You can't share a square with somebody else. And I've sort of roughly put you where you think you are. You can see the dashes are cells, so you're in the cell bars. The boxes around a wall, there should be a box around that other wall, is a door in the cell, but all these doors are open. But it might matter because you can't arbitrarily climb in and out of the cell. I've erased one of the bars over there, so you can climb in and out of that gap if you like. So those are that's that deal. This is a door that's open. There's a tunnel out here, and you hear more kobolds down this tunnel. This boss is calling for more kobolds. Your number now should be in about the right place, but if you want to move yourself 1 or 2 squares, say, I really don't think I was there. Here's what I meant. Go and you can move yourself 1 square or 2 squares in whatever direction you like if you think that's fair. So feel free to do that. Everybody's very happy. Okay.
And here's the outside of it, but this is where the inside is?
Yeah, so it's all brick floor. There's that trap door in the middle, and there's the red suited ghost is there, but he's again very kind of zoned out. Like the more you see him, he just seems to be really kind of obsessed with doing this one particular duty. So you're not sure if he's going to be a factor in this combat. Any other? Did that answer your question?
Well, I was asking because I'm here. I'm meant to be right.
Yes, yeah. You want to get the drop on the boss. Yeah, and then you have a couple people next to you.
So I thought that was meant to be where the door was.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. That's just as well. You can do that. Yeah, so you weren't really hiding, so it's just sort of waiting. So he saw you as he came in, but he's going to stop and pay attention to you. Let me bring about position. So in combat, especially with monsters that are not very sophisticated, they're going to tend to go for who's close to them. Or in the mayhem, it might be kind of random who they take, but if that's a tie, basically, they'll go for whoever's closest, or who they can sort of hit in a straight line to that and then go through any obstacles. And you all are obstacles, right? So that just means to say that if you are a tough type, you want to be close to the enemies. If you're a delicate type, you want to be far from the enemies, or somewhere in between. So let's talk about roles. If you are the yellow sheet or the green sheet, your class, sort of your job, is fighter. You're trained to have heavier armor, so you have a heavier armor class. That little number in the shield at top, armor class, is ideal during this combat because slings, daggers, these torture implements that the goblin boss has, they all are up against your AC. So they have to roll your AC or higher. If you look around, you'll notice that some of you have much higher AC than others. So they're much harder to hit with sort of normal weapon attacks. Also, some of you fighters tend to have the most hit points of anybody. You've just sort of made yourself robust. Not only that, you can give yourself hit points. If you've read on your sheet, there's something called second wind, where during your turn you can basically roll the dice and give yourself that many hit points in the surge of battle. You can only do that once, but you can give yourself that surge. So that all means that people who are that tough should probably be in the front line and try to absorb damage. Your job is really to absorb damage just as much as deal damage. Those of you who are more delicate are like the wizards, right? The wizards are the opposite. They have very low AC and very low hit points. A lot of their spells operate from a distance. So, shocking grasp, you have to touch something. Everything else operates at a distance. So you want to stay away from the fights as much as possible and behind people so that you've got some cover. The rogues are in between. The rogues are a little bit on the delicate side, but they're really good with their short sword. The great thing about being a rogue is that you do super big damage against enemies if a buddy is next to that damage, or if the enemy is distracted by having a friend next to it, or it can't see you because you're hidden. It's not very easy to hide in this scenario. I wouldn't worry about hiding. I'll teach that later on. Mostly you're just going to want to look for enemies that have a buddy next to it, because if you hit it, you'll do a lot of extra damage. It's called sneak attack. So, but you want to sort of get in and get out. You don't want to necessarily stay in the middle of a wad of enemies. You've got to kind of pick your position quite carefully. Clerics are interesting in that they have very high AC and pretty decent hit points. So they can be frontline. They're perfectly good with that Warhammer. But also, they're the only ones that have healing spells. They can actually give hit points to people by touching them. As cure wounds, is they have to actually touch them. But it gives a lot of hit points to them, even if they're down and starting to die. So you don't want to go down too early. You don't want to take so much damage because you're the only thing that can get people back up. Healing potions can get people back up. I think we have only one of those in the party. Those good berries that you have, you can... But this is, again, position. You have to walk up to somebody and stuff a good berry in their mouth in order to give them that hit point to save them from dying. So where you are matters a lot. Okay, so I've talked about role, literally role-playing game. Tank is usually where you talk about the fighters that are up front, or the cleric who wants to feel very tanky. Strikers are the ones like the wizards and the rogues that do a lot of damage but are a little bit delicate. And then there's support, also some of the overlap. Like as a cleric and as a wizard, you also kind of control and support the battlefield. Okay, and healer, of course, is the fourth thing, is being able to do that.
Afterthought, yeah.
Sorry, I know, I didn't mean that as an afterthought, that's right. Usually I say 3, and the third one's usually healer, not support. Okay. All right. As this goblin comes in, he's ordering these things around with those big sort of skulls, and I've shown that picture of him already, and he says the following. He says to all of you in this threatening manner, "Ziggy, the face shredder! He wants me to torture you for answers! But now I just want to eat your tasty grass-fed livers." So he does not attack and orders these kobolds around. He intimidates these kobolds. He says, "You two get near me!" And sort of reluctantly, the kobolds sort of huddle up next to him. So the two kobolds you see next to him is those brown chips. And because they have the initiative, the kobolds all begin to attack. And then you'll have your turn. So again, we'll do a clock, but this time we'll go clockwise. So if you're thinking about things, instead of counterclockwise, we'll go clockwise. You who grew up in the mountains and all that stuff are a little bit faster to start with combat in this particular scenario. Won't always be that way, but we'll do it that way here. Okay, so I'm just going to start moving around. You are number 1.
I'm the green.
You're the green one back there? Okay. This one has got its dagger out. It would like to run to you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It can't quite do, so it's going to get a little closer. And it's going... Yep, that's fine. Yeah, I could do that. Yeah, I usually have little back scratches and stuff. So, and then fling a sling at you. So it's going to move over a few more steps because it doesn't want to shoot through this other figure, number 3, because number 3 is providing you cover. It's going to be firing at you. Now, you're a cleric. You can handle it. But who is number 3? You're a rogue. Yes. I wouldn't recommend this, but because it's firing through you, you can sort of try to distract and take the shot instead. So it's obviously he's aiming for this one, but if you think that it's your job to get hit instead of the cleric, you can go ahead and sort of volunteer for it by kind of getting in the way. But I'm not sure. That's not really your role necessarily.
I mean, yeah, really.
Dodgeball.
You have a lower armor class. You have a lower armor class in the cleric and fewer hit points. So.
I was going to say, I'm fine.
Yeah, okay. The cleric says, "Don't worry about me, I'm fine." Okay, great. So I'm going to, instead of rolling dice manually, I use a program just because there's a lot of math that I could do automatically, and so trust me, I'm well, never trust the DM. The DM will change the roll sometimes for story reasons, but I really try to do combat very much, as it goes. So fair enough. So with a sling, it's going to go towards you. It's going to be against your armor class. Oh, what an opener! I rolled a 20, I swear, and that's called a critical hit. So we open up with a massive, like this kobold dodges around, and before you know it, he flings the stone at you, and you have armor, but it just gets in this gap in your armor, and you just feel like blood starting to gush. So this is a critical hit, which means I do extra damage on it. So always going to hit, and it's going to do some extra damage.
No, I gave them all away.
All right. You fool. Now remember, your hit points should all be full. So whatever, remember your full rest. You might have lost it some hit points by climbing over those bars, but otherwise you should be at full hit points now.
I'm currently 10.
Okay, you climbed over those bars. That way you lost one.
No, I can't remember what.
disease.
Oh, the disease.
Yeah,
Sorry
yeah,
about that.
disease,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, that's right. Okay. Well, you lose 5 hit points, Cleric. You've lost half of your health, so do the next thing. 5 hit points with a great opener. Number 2. Where are you? Oh, yeah.
I'm right next to number 2.
Okay. With its short sword, it's going to go for its dagger. It's going to go for you against your AC, and you're just a wizard. You're up front. What are you doing there?
Yeah, I did figure that out.
I rolled another critical hit. Oh my god! I swear it. I really did. This is awesome.
Can we bring it up there? So
What a great way to start. What a great way to start.
This program. that I
Oh,
made
luckily
myself.
the rolls are about as
There
low as
goes another elf.
the rolls are about as low as they possibly be. To take 3 points of damage. Oh dear, wizard. You number 3, the rogue. This one over here is going to try to get to you. It's going to go over here and try to fling a sling at you. Let's see if I can get 3 critical hits at once.
You're on 4 health, man.
Oh, cheers. 7 to 4.
Yeah, help each other with math. Don't be embarrassed. Some people are just not.
I am terrible at math.
My result is an 8. Now the 8 is less than your armor class, right?
I was a 7, so.
Yep. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So my result was an 8, lower than your armor class. So this means the sling bullet, you duck and it just flies over your head and shatters against the walls, going very fast, but you're very nimble on your feet. You number 4. This one. Wait a second. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. So they're all sort of assembling to this kind of a random assignment right now. So this one over here is going to start trying to move towards 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So everybody has a speed. It's moving closer to you, but it can't quite reach you, so it's going to try to hit you with a sling. And against your armor class, try to hit you with the sling. You're number 4? Yeah. Yep. Okay. With an 8, again, you are able to duck out of the way. Not a problem. You, number 5. We're going to... Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
With a little stone.
Get a little closer. Yeah. It fires a sling at you. It can't quite reach you. With a 9, you dodge out of the way. Okay, now the dice are acting a little bit more in your favor. We're going to go for you, number 6. Where are you on the board? You're over there. Okay. All right. So this one moves into position, not as far as it could, because it's got pretty much a straight shot going for you. All right. So you.
This one.
Well, that's number 6. Yeah. Sorry. That'll help me if I do this. Yeah. 6.
Yep.
Okay.
Now I'm number 9. So
Okay, that's fine. Going for you. Now, what are you? You're a cleric?
Cleric.
Okay. Yeah, so the same thing. Number 7? Who's number 7? Oh, yeah. I don't think number 7 is, you're not going to jump in the way and try to attract the shot instead, I don't think. Okay. With a 23, that is a pretty good hit. 23 is higher than your armor class, so I'm going to roll my damage. Notice that I'm rolling dice to figure out my damage. I rolled nice and high. I take 5 points of damage against you, cleric. We are really getting started. That's number 6. Number 7.
So you're rolling the dice to see if you get more than their armor class.
Their armor
and then
class.
You're rolling the dice
I rolled
to see
damage.
how much
Damage they lose.
Okay.
Exactly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can't quite. So there's some rules. Like he can't move. The boss is kind of in the way. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over here. You know, it's going to try to stab you. You're no 6, 7. Yeah. Going to try to stab you, but you've got effectively slightly higher armor because the bars are kind of the way. It's hard to swing a dagger through here. So I'll do this, and we'll compare it to a slightly improved armor class. Well, it's only a 7, so it doesn't matter. Like you're able to, you see it coming, and you step out of the way. Remember, each of these is just like this whole round happens just 7 seconds, so it's just a couple quick slashes, and you just saw it coming, and we're able to back up. Okay, number 8. We're going. Where are you, number 8?
Here.
Okay. All right. This one is going to try to take off towards you, but it's not going to quite make it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and is going to try to fling at you. who's number 3? So you can become a target, but you're pretty strong, you know. So I don't think the rogue is going to want to take the hit instead of you. So the sling is going to go at you. However, because you're behind, your armor class is a little bit higher. Again, you're being blocked by somebody. So that's good. Well, of course, you're a tank. Maybe you shouldn't be there. But with a 13, no problem. You got a high armor class, and it couldn't quite get a target. It bounced off of the plate of your armor. It hit you, but didn't do any damage. That was number 8. Number 9. Where are you on the board? Okay, right back here. Okay. So number 9 has got the short sword out. It's just going to stay right there and attack you with its dagger. And with a 21, that's higher than your armor class. Okay. Now what I'm doing is I'm rolling something and adding something to it. I'm actually adding 4. A lot of you, when you attack, you'll discover you often add 5s. These kobolds aren't quite as good at fighting as you are, so the odds are slightly against them, but they've got the numbers. So what I've done is I've rolled something, added 4, and the result is 21. And the damage you take is 3. Again, I've rolled a little die here and added something to it. You take 3 points of damage. And the last thing is 0, 10. Where are you on the board? There you are. Okay. So this one over here, it starts to step away, but this boss says, no, you stay right here with me. And so it has to use a sling, and it's firing through all of these people. Do 9, 7, or 6 want to protect this cleric? Say no, I don't think
He's
so.
the healer.
Doesn't he
He's the healer.
Doesn't he also get more protection from the bars?
Exactly, yeah. So basically, your armor class is effectively 2 higher because it's a very crowded field.
I feel like you should
Oh,
be
not
blocking because you're a
not for slings, not for slings, but all these people.
I know, you've
Yeah.
all abandoned me and I'm still manacled. You should block.
You're protected by the
Not that
bars.
I'm too far away.
Okay, so the sling's up against you.
My intention is there, but
It's a 14, but your armor class is 18, and it's even higher because of all the crowd between. So it's fine. It doesn't even make it. It like bounces off somebody's helmet instead. And that is all the kobolds. And then the boss, has already done his thing. All right, because he's been giving a speech. So now we're going to go around to all of you. Remember, on your turn in combat, you can move. You can take an action. An action is swinging your weapon or casting a spell. You can move a little bit, do something, and move more. Move first, move last, whatever you like. Yeah. You can do item interactions. So if you get weapons out and put them in, we'll do that. If you've got problems, like if your hands are not full, like if you haven't raided your entire backpack, you've got to at least go to your backpack, in order to get that. So if you have something,
Can we move anywhere then?
what?
Can we move anywhere on the board then?
Now your space is limited. All of you can move. If you do nothing but move, you can move 12 squares. If you want to move and take an action, you can only move 6 squares. So you see this is starting to get kind of a little bit more strategic. Dwarves and halflings, I'm sorry to say that yours are 5 squares and 10 squares because you're kind of got stubby legs. So you move a little bit faster, a little slower. So if you again, you're on your own, whatever you have in your hands that we did previously, you still have that in your hands. But if you don't have stuff in your hands, you've got to at least visit the backpack, or somebody else has got to grab it and bring it to you. So I heard you talking about tactics. It's time to put them into practice. So what are you going to do, cleric?
Well, I actually wasn't in that conversation, so I don't actually know. I think I'm going to, because I'm currently at my backpack, I'd like to now actually take some things out of my backpack.
Yeah, that's fine. So what did you have anything in your hands before this?
No.
Okay, so yeah, you can grab one thing from your backpack, like your weapon, and then just go ham and leave your backpack behind. Or you can say like, no, I don't know, I want all of these things, so I'm just going to spend an action just putting everything on, and they can move a bit.
I think I might do that. I might just grab my
Okay,
backpack,
yeah,
so
that's great.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah, everything is also,
Whatever might
you've
be
got all the weapons, you've got weapons in hand, all that stuff, and you can also move yourself 5 squares. So maybe tell a friend where to move you, but you can rush into the fray. You can move towards one of the kobolds, you can give cover to someone else. Don't move her yet until she decides. So do you want to move any closer to the
At
battle?
this stage.
Oh, bloody hell.
Just better to you're
it's just going to a class. That's good. Yeah.
Okay, that's right. Now everybody makes their own choice as it is. Remember, she's down to 5 hit points as well.
Yes.
Okay, so you're going to stay there. What are,
Discretion is
you're all equipped. What are you going to do?
I'm going to cast sleep on these 2 guys here. Can I?
Yes, very good. Now, sleep is a great spell. You can only cast this like 2, 3, sometimes 3 times a day as a wizard. Over the whole day, you have to get a long rest. So this is
It's
quite
3.
powerful, yeah. We're not tracking what we call spell slots right now. We'll do that later. But for now, this is a powerful spell. You might as well use them. You get to basically, it creates a circular area about that big. It's going to be 4 squares in each direction, right? So it's a really big area. So which ones do you want to put to sleep? But it also affects friends.
Yeah, so there's no one in this area, so it's just me and these 2 idiots.
That's right. Yeah, but if you're included in your own area, you can put yourself to sleep.
That's fine. It's either that or I'm dead.
Yeah, he's an elf. He won't sleep.
Brilliant. So what you're going to do is listen.
See, there's
Yeah.
coming in now. So
No,
that's
no,
good.
I'm thinking.
Okay, I'm going to give you a choice.
Yeah.
You can affect 3 enemies if you include the ghost. If you don't want to include the ghost, the circle can only cover these 2 enemies.
Do you reckon it will get more chaotic if I include the ghost?
I'm not going to
Just
tell
fall
you.
asleep.
That's
I'm
Miles
not-
says
I'm not
yes.
gonna-
Let's
I'm
go
not
with
gonna
it. Let's go with it.
Okay.
Range of it, but it was.
And then we'll send the rogue to pickpocket the ghost.
All right. Including the ghost, you're going to do a big area. Now, sleep is a great spell in that you have to roll dice to see how powerful it is. This is how many hit points worth of effect it has. And I like just explaining this as we go because it's sort of like you haven't cast this a whole lot. You're
I
kind of
panicked.
you're just discovering this sort of thing. So you're going to roll some dice, and I've got some dice right here. I've got lots of other dice. You're going to roll 5d8s. I'm going to roll this. Roll this 5 times.
This could be good.
This could be
How
go
many
bad.
hit points worth of things?
I need to put myself to
It might do
sleep.
the whole room.
So, are you comfortable doing the math yourself, or do you want me to write it down as we go? So,
You write down as we go.
okay, so write down. Roll 5 times.
2,
Yep.
7,
Uh huh.
1,
Uh huh.
1,
Uh-huh.
8.
Okay, somebody total that up.
19.
Okay, great. All right, so that's 19 hit points worth of sleep that you do. How many hit points do these things have? You also realize, some at Wizard School, the weaker something is, the faster it's affected. So this kobold closest to you, its eyes get heavy, and clunk, she falls asleep. I'm going to put the sort of beads on her to show that she's now lying down motionless. You think that, they're not dead, you think that they could be awakened, but you're not quite sure how. We'll just experiment. The next closest kobold, so that's 5 hit points worth.
It says over here as well, the attack bonus when you make an attack with a spell is +5.
Yes, so this is, so different spells have different things. So if you were to do like Ray of Frost or Burning Hands, that's where that +5 comes in. It goes up against, well, not Burning Hands, but yeah, for Ray of Frost, it's like you're aiming it, right? And that's where it goes against the armor class, yeah. Other spells will cause them to do a saving throw. So often the monster gets a saving throw. In this case, sleep is wonderful in that the amount of sort of sleep power is variable, but it's always going to affect them. They don't get to make a saving throw. But there's very good ask, exactly. So different spells have different effects. And it gets fascinating to pick your spells and do all that. The next kobold, so you used up some of your sleep juice. The next, this is your magical power. The next kobold, eyes get heavy, and he falls asleep. The next is the ghost. He goes like, "What are you doing?" And he looks sort of mad. It's like, "Spellcaster. This is powerful, not for me." So his eyes sort of narrow for a second. You see him sort of grip his weapon. He's like, "Orders, open doors." But he's sort of like looking suspiciously. He's sort of, but he seems to be immune. You can tell the magic does not affect him. Something about his nature means that sleep cannot affect him. And next in this raid is because you decided to try to get the ghost in. This one, is it powerful enough with this? The answer is yes. She falls asleep as well. This kobold, you put 3 asleep. Good job.
Too bad it wasn't.
The last left over. How many hit points do you have?
I've got 4.
Oh, you fall asleep. And you fall asleep.
I thought I couldn't because I was an elf.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, shoot. Okay, good job.
Can
Good
we
job.
accidentally
Saved
wake them
yourself.
up if we were to attack them?
Please don't.
No.
Yeah, we'll have to experiment with that. You'll learn that. You'll learn that through trial and error. Let's say. Move on. Next, please. And remember, you can move. So I'm not going to remind you each time. In addition to casting your spell, you can move you 6 squares in any direction if you want.
I'm running over towards the rages. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
4.
As you move away from this kobolds, because they're asleep, they can't threaten you. But normally, running away from monsters is a bad idea. So.
5.
Into the cage? Or?
And then 6.
6, yeah. You dodged in through the door to do that. That's fine.
I'm
Okay.
inside.
So my question was going to be before, if I'm 5.
Yeah.
Do I have to go towards
You have to go
the door
through
to
the
get
door,
out?
yeah. Or you can
Okay.
climb over the bars and you can do your acrobatics check and go straight out
Oh,
if you
okay.
like.
So he just came through
injury.
the
Yeah,
bars?
but also you can move diagonally. So
Yeah, but
really,
I'm
I think
gonna
going
go
through
through
the door is
first.
fine. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It is a longer path to go through the door. Yeah, climb over the bars would save you a little bit of time. You can move,
Didn't we
move
unlock the
diagonally
cell
squares.
door?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, so you're next, Rogue.
But I have to
Outside
go
you.
like 6 squares that way to get out.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Oh,
so if
because
I
you
go
run
like
the
there, I
whole
can
door
go
here.
to my, yeah.
All right. What are you gonna do, Rogue?
Oh,
Try to decide quick. This is combat.
I don't know.
It's mayhem. It's okay if you make a mistake. It's fine.
I've already got my. I'm near my backpack.
Yep.
We've got a cleric that's still manacled.
Oh yeah.
Whose fault is that?
Okay, we gotta decide. What you gonna do?
Okay. I've got a crowbar, so I'm going to unmanacle or attempt to unmanacle this other cleric.
Okay, so this cleric is over here. You are number 0 over there. Okay, so take your chip. Great. And let's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5. You're halfling. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's say you get next to the cleric, but it takes all of your time just to get there. However,
Okay.
you're holding out the crowbar. So in your turn with the crowbar, you can unmanacle yourself you can break the magic quite easily because now he's got something that he's sort of holding out. You can't take the action because he had to run so far to get
Okay.
again. Position really matters.
Makes
But that's
sense.
a good position. What are you gonna do?
Cool. Can I get to my backpack in one turn? I'm number 4.
Number 4. I would say just to simplify things, because I'm not going to do it always square by square. I'd say you could do nothing but get to your backpack. But unfortunately, because of the situation you're in, you're just be able to get to your
What
backpack.
if I used dash as well? Could I dash?
Yeah, I'm
and
assuming
then-
you're going to dash, and that's very
Okay.
good that you've noticed that. But that's you can move twice as far if you don't take any actions, basically.
Okay, cool.
So and then even then, it's sort of a bit of a stretch. Now you can climb if you climb over those bars, you can get to your backpack right away. You want to try climbing the bars and risk taking a little bit of damage?
I think you took damage by climbing over the bars if that's right.
Yeah, I
I
did.
did.
My door's open.
The door's open, so I'm gonna spend my whole turn going to my backpack.
Okay, so yeah, you can move. Yeah, you can climb over the bars, move, and get your backpack, or you can go the long way around and do nothing but safely get your backpack.
I'm gonna safely get my stuff.
Okay, great. So
Okay.
you've moved your
Do you
stuff.
want me to use that?
Very good.
Maybe I'll just make it.
Yeah, that's good enough. And you're in that area. The backpacks are not being scattered around by all of you, so just be in the general area. What are you gonna do?
So I'm going to attempt to jump the bars. So
Okay,
I'm gonna try backpack
yes,
and
gonna
then
get
do a
right
little
into it.
somersault.
Yeah, so do a
Sorry, was it
dexterity check. Acrobatics if you have it, but I don't think you have acrobatics, so just use your plain dexterity.
11.
At 11, you take 1 point of damage. You gash your arm climbing over, but you can now move 6 squares and diagonals are fine. So where do you want to go to?
I want to come towards my backpack.
Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, you're at your backpack. Great.
Awesome.
And now you can take an action, so you have everything's on. So you're completely restored.
Perfect.
Okay, very good. You didn't have your bow already, yeah. So you know what? You could take out the bow and fire it, but then you wouldn't have everything else in your backpack if you wanted to. So that's one of your choices. Like you can quickly just get your bow and shoot it, but if you want everything in your backpack, that's what's taking all your time.
I do want everything on my backpack.
Yeah, I think that's a
at
good
first,
idea. Okay.
All right, I have a question. I'm manacled still, and my backpack is on the other side of the room,
Oh.
which I can't reach.
Oh,
right?
no,
Like, I
over
won't
here.
be able to get
Oh,
that.
man.
So,
Yeah.
I don't quite know what I can do.
Well, you're a cleric, and you're a manacle cleric. So let's see. You can heal is one thing that you can still do with your manacles on. I believe
So I
I'll
don't
look it up
need
later, but I think
the
you don't
holy
need your
symbol.
holy symbol in
Oh,
order
cool.
to
Okay,
do
I
this.
thought I did. All right, that's good.
You might, but let's say in this case, I don't want to take time looking it up. So.
All right, all good. The other question I had is, where's the half orc that was?
Ah, very
leaning on
good.
those-
That's always nice of you to notice these things. Was thrown down next to the goblin.
Okay.
Yeah, so you noticed that.
Can I move up and heal her?
Ah, okay. Yes,
that-
that'd be very noble.
Yes.
Yes, and you are there. Yep, you can move on over and heal her.
Can
Yes.
somebody do that for me?
Okay, great.
Just
Great.
side
the pink
next to the
one.
square.
Yep, go
or
and move
on
right
the
next.
square?
Yep, that's fine.
I'm the pink one.
The pink one?
The pink one. Yeah.
Okay.
So I roll.
Who's the half orc?
The one that was being
That goblin bow, because you move away from a monster, it tries to reach you both between the bars and that roll. It tries to like take a free stab at you as you move away because monsters are kind of sticky that way.
The one
But
that's
in this
trapping
case,
me-
no harm done. So you get
The one
over there,
that's
maybe
trapping me
maybe your
next to the
god,
big
your deity was looking over you. Okay, now cure wounds is the thing that you have. Again, you can only do this a few times a day. And it's true, you do not need your holy symbol because you just need to be able to talk and have a free hand, which you do. So you are going to do. It says there how much of healing power it has. It says cure wounds.
1d8
Oh yeah,
plus
1d8
6.
plus 6.
Yeah. So you get to roll a d8. I'll toss you that. You get to add 6, which is extraordinarily high. That's because not only is it your wisdom, but your wisdom doubled or something because you are a life cleric. You worship a life-loving deity. You can change this later on if you customize your character. Different deities give different little boosts. But you're all about life and healing. Life is very good, so go for that. 7 plus 6, 13. Thogrim is like just miraculous. Like Thogrim was covered with cuts, bleeding out, totally unconscious. Within the space of a couple seconds, you feel holy power go through you, and your god channels the power through you. And Thogrim's her skin knits together, her broken jaw resets. She opens her eyes, she looks into your eyes with this look of just absolute, like, stunned worship. And says the name of your deity, whatever it is, like, I saw so-and-so, because she seems quite learned. So that is amazing. I'm going to make a note of this because she seems to have bonded with you by doing this. And that's all right. Do you have your character name? Because I'll make a note of it.
Amos.
Amos. Okay. Heals Thogrim. Okay, so Thogrim is basically a follower now. So Thogrim is keeping a close. A lot of these people, they're not really combat ready, but they'll hover around. They can be helpful in combat, but they're not. It's just one more thing to do. So, but followers will be very handy because they'll often sacrifice, especially something like this, will sacrifice themselves in key moments. So they can be very important in combat in that regard.
Can I move to the guy with the...
Sure,
the
you're
white
number
guy?
7?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
the boss guy.
Okay, yeah.
So in between like him and then these two dudes.
Yeah, you can stand on top of, okay.
Yeah, I don't want to go near the
Yeah,
girl.
like there?
Yeah, yep.
Okay,
that's it.
yeah. So you circle around. Okay,
And
again,
sleep.
yeah, this kobold here. Yes, okay.
I want to sleep.
Yeah, the good thing about sleep is great.
I'll clear the table so you...
Thank you.
Yeah, sleep, you pick a point you can see, and it does like a 20-foot radius all around, and that's good. I think what you've done is that as you've run around back here, you're able to look down this corridor, and you pick a point in the corridor that kind of radiates out sort of like a fan. So you're able to sort of like pick a point, and the magic radiates out. So by moving like that, you're able to kind of tailor it, but still kind of a circular shape. And if you want to get the boss and this kobold, you're going to include number 9.
Do it anyway.
But
Okay.
It's all right.
but he has 8 hit points, so you think that he can handle it. You think that maybe it's worth it.
It's just sleeping.
So take some D8s. Let's hand that D8 over.
Nothing that.
Oh, you've got one. You've got
Okay, that's fine.
there.
And again, we'll do some math.
Okay.
I don't have
Someone
something
else
to
can do
write.
the maths part.
No,
I'll
I'll erase this one.
I'll write.
Nah, I got it. It's always good to clear other things. Okay, start rolling.
Okay. 4,
4.
3,
Yep.
8,
Nice.
2.
Yep.
How many times we do this? 5.
5 times done it. So give me a total on that.
20.
Okay, 20 worth. Okay. Things start falling asleep as you pick. The weakest things go down first. You are not weaker. The kobolds luckily are weaker than 8 hit points. So this one,
Sorry, that's 22.
22, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And does that include any of these things? Like
So a lot of spells do. In this case, it's not. Yeah. Mhm. But it's a good thought. It's good to think of those things because I could easily forget stuff like that. So these 2 kobolds fall asleep. The next weakest thing in this area is the fighter. You've got 8 hit points. What we've done basically is this 22 is absorbed. There's 12 points left over, so 12 points of magic power. The kobolds absorb 5 and 5. That's how many hit points they have, you see. So kobolds all have 5 hit points. They fall asleep. There's still 12 points left over. It goes to the next weakest thing, and it's not the boss. It's you.
What about that other kobold?
Yeah.
Casting from back here to get all of us.
Yeah, to get that one over there, because otherwise I'd have to include you, which I don't think is your intention, because you would fall asleep as well.
But she's an elf.
Ah, that's true.
Can
Suicide
cast it
sleep
from
bombers.
here to get this guy?
It would get this one as well, you know.
But it's another colder.
Well, I said at the beginning it cast this one here, so we could have corrected it back then, but now I think we just have to keep on going.
I mean, I'm
It's going to include you no matter what.
Yeah.
You're still being included no matter
okay.
what.
Yeah, I would have taken the hit, but if it's
No.
Tell you what, roll a d20, and we'll do an intelligence. You see how intelligent your character was. Roll a d20 and add your intelligence bonus. Oh, hey, you thought of this already. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to very cleverly include, but not this one. You picked it so well, it includes this area. You don't fall asleep. Another 5 gets absorbed here. So now this one falls asleep. So 12 minus 5 is 7. And you have 8, which is just enough. You get very sleepy, like, oh, you start shaking your head. If you do one more point, you would have fallen asleep as well.
I need a coffee.
Exactly, but you're okay. That was brilliant. Look at all these sleeping targets around you. That's awesome. Okay, and that was your turn. You can move, of course, if you like, further, but I don't advise it because, well, yeah, I think you're good. You move quite a bit to do that. You good? All right, you're next.
So,
good stuff, everybody.
I have my axe in my hand.
Yeah.
I grab the other axe that I see
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
And aim to head into the fray.
Okay. Now you can only wield one axe at a time. Are you taking an axe to a friend?
He's taking my axe.
My axe
My
is also,
axe is back there.
Okay, great. So the idea is to transport it to you. Yeah, I'd say. And where do you move in the course of this? What's your target gonna be?
Basically to where the other fighters. My goal is to get to the other.
Yeah.
fighter,
So you're number 8. Where are you on the board? Yeah. So before we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, you need to get close. Well, you can go after some of these. You can attack one of these 3.
Hit number 1.
And I'd say you can slide the axe over to your friend.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds.
Okay. So position yourself.
My pointy stick.
Yeah. Yeah. Like maybe between these two. You know, like that'd be nice. Yeah, you can do that if you like. Yeah.
Okay.
Just pick a square. Yes, it has to be a square next to either the yellow or the brown one. So pick any square next to the yellow.
That's
one.
right.
In the center.
Yeah.
Yep. And you slide the axe over. That's called an item interaction. But it's pretty easy. It's not very far, and you're strong. So you now you have your axe at your feet. Okay. Hopefully nobody will take it in the meantime. You get to attack. So you're going to now chop at that kobold. Okay. Roll a d20 now. This is the first time I've done a weapon attack. So much spell casting and running around happening. Let's get into weapon attacks. Okay, a 5. Now next to the word great axe on your sheet, there's a number. In the middle, right in the middle there. Who's down?
Yeah, +5.
Okay. Now that, by the way, is your strength, which is 3, plus 2, because you're proficient at the axe. That's where that math comes from. That's why it's 5.
Okay.
So is this plus 5 is what's your total?
5 plus 5.
Yeah, 5 plus 5.
This
All
is
right.
10.
Yep, that's 10. I'm going to compare that to the armor class. Kobolds are very fast on their feet. Their armor class is higher than 10. You come roaring up with the axe, you swing down, and it steps out of the side and it bites into the bricks. You did not quite roll high enough through the same math, because the same math works both ways. The armor class was too high. But the good thing is now you're in position, and you're right where you should be, which is absorbing attacks. Okay. And you've delivered the axe. Speaking of which.
Yeah. Okay. So I've only got one action that I can do at this
That's
stage.
right, yes.
Get that
Once
axe.
you get to be higher level, you get to do a couple actions. Well, there's an interesting point. No, that's at level 2. At level 2, you can take extra actions as a fighter. Yeah, it's called action surge.
Yeah, I'm trying to think which is the best one to do. Grab the axe or just
You can grab the axe for free.
okay.
Yeah. So grab the axe, an item interaction. You can pick up the axe for free.
I'll definitely pick up the axe.
Okay,
now,
good
what
idea.
do I hit the bit?
Yes,
The
now
boss.
you got an axe.
No, but what do I hit them with?
Oh,
The
okay,
axe, of course.
Yeah.
Stick or an axe?
The spike looks very badass. It looked very cool to you to stab him with his own spike, but you have a higher chance of hitting with the axe. So you practice with the axe for thousands of hours. You haven't practiced with the spike for thousands of hours.
Can I
So
throw the stick down?
Well, you have a javelin. Well, you don't have a javelin.
No.
But, yeah, you
But
throw a stick down. Yeah.
throw it down for I can't remember the name.
Yep, for Thorgrim? Okay, sure.
Thorgrim,
Mhm.
So Thorgrim can have a weapon.
Yeah, sure.
When it
Great.
comes back.
Nice. Okay. Yep. He's awake, so yeah, he'll have something.
And then I will slash right down in the middle of the big bad's head.
Okay, going for the boss. You swing your axe. As you swing the axe, he reaches out towards one of these kobolds, and he tries to pick up the kobold. The kobold's just limp. It's sort of like a cat that's only picked up and sort of flops over. And so he looks up at you as the axe comes towards him, but doesn't hit him. Roll the d20 and add your axe bonus.
Axe bonus is +5.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Yep. Roll that first. D20 plus 5. Oh, the 3 plus 5, 8. The boss easily steps aside. He seems to have been foiled. Like he wanted to use the kobolds in some way. So at least you discovered something about this by attacking him. But unfortunately, the dice weren't good. Because he quite easily sort of steps aside after all that tumult. And now what do? You can keep moving if you like.
I need to unbind myself with the
crowbar.
Crowbar.
Yes,
I'm
exactly.
assuming that's my action.
Let's call that you've been tied up for so long. you've been thinking about that. Let's call that an item interaction. The crowbar is built to do this sort of thing. So let's say as an item interaction, you just go toink. It's like opening a can opener, and you're free. You can do whatever you like. You can move and take an action.
I need my symbol. I think you're saying to cast spells and stuff like that.
You can heal. You can heal without your symbol. I've looked it up.
What's the range on healing?
You have to touch.
Yeah.
You have to
okay,
give them a
so
hug.
I'm not going to get to anybody anyway.
Also, Sacred Flame. I think let's say you can do that as well.
You're not injured, are you?
Offensive.
I don't think so, no.
Offensive.
What's it saying? Because
Oh,
you're
wait,
right
yes,
next to
I
him, so
have.
he can actually touch it.
No, yeah, I do. I lost 2 hit points in something or other.
Okay, yeah.
He's down 2 hit points.
Forget why.
Oh,
I did.
2 hit points I think is manageable.
You're That's good. No, clerics have to pick their spells very well. It's true. So Sacred Flame, it basically makes something scramble out of their way with their dexterity. They try to scramble out, otherwise they take damage.
Oh, okay.
And it could work at a great distance.
Is there a radius on it? Is it individual?
No, it's an individual.
Right.
But you can cast it a million times a day. It's like called a cantrip. So
Okay.
it's not.
And it's an unlimited range for this particular.
Yeah,
so
it's
it's
anywhere in the
somewhere
range can be reached. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Who can't really reach you, I think.
Got to decide quick. It's combat.
Sure. Look, I'm going to cast a Sacred Flame on that fella because he's asleep and can't move.
Oh, very good. All right. So Sacred Flame. Now I'll introduce the idea of saving throws.
Okay.
I get to make a saving throw as the monster, just like you do.
He's asleep.
He's asleep. So he has like an autonomic reaction as he starts to catch fire. You know, he might be able to do it, but he has disadvantage. I haven't introduced disadvantage yet. Disadvantage, I roll 2 dice and take the lower of the 2. This can happen to you as well, right? Because he's asleep, he's rolling with disadvantage. So his saving throw is going to be low. But what number does he need to get? It is on the very, very back. I'm getting a little bit advanced here. But on the very back of the cleric sheet and the wizard sheet, and not the rest of you don't. Roll spellcaster. You see spell save DC. That's 13. So the kobold has to make a 13 in order to not be affected by your spell.
Okay.
That 13 comes from your wisdom. And it's plus 8 is like 8 plus your wisdom plus proficiency, something like that.
Okay.
The smarter, the wiser you get, the more higher level you get, the higher that number gets.
Okay.
I don't you have to have both the same type of die?
Yeah. Cool.
But they're both 20s. They're different sizes though.
Okay.
So I'm going to take this and take the lower of the 2. I'm going to add a dexterity bonus. Kobolds are a little bit dexterous, more dexterous than usual. So let's see if that helps me. Okay. Oh, I rolled a 16 and a 20. Lucky me. And this time you saw what I did. So I'll take the 16. I'll add the dexterity bonus, which is high enough that it's higher than your spell DC. So you pray to your god, you summon up these sacred flames, but the kobold sort of rolls out of the way. It still stays asleep, luckily. But you got the sense that it almost woke up. Now you know that attacking these kobolds, if you didn't kill it, it would be awake. But you didn't do any damage, so it's okay. It's just the kobold sort of in sleep. Oh, yeah, I don't want to wake up. And it sort of rolls over, and the flames go out.
Okay.
But you can now move anywhere you like and get more closer to the fray.
If he moves out of the way, does he move away from like the fighters over here, for instance, or is that?
Yeah, I could say so. Sure.
Thank you.
And then I move 5. I think.
Yeah, you can move 5. Yeah. So you have to go to the door, or you can climb over the bars if you like.
Where was that? 1, 2, 3, 4.
All right. So moving into the fray. But yeah, most of your spells can work at a distance, so that's a good position to be in. My turn. Okay. So that's a combat round now. I know this is quite slow. I'm explaining a lot. We have 10 people, which is very unusual. And, I'm giving you real combat here. Trust me, the D&D does start going quicker. Typical group of 5 is faster, and all those things. I've made a move. You all made your moves, and now we basically at the top of the order. We're going to move again. So first is the boss. So the boss is like, wake up, you imbeciles! So one of the things the boss is going to do, instead of attacking, is he's going to have to try to wake up one of these things. So he wakes up one of these kobolds. He reaches over, is like, wake the fuck up! He's sort of kicking this kobold, and this kobold wakes up and is able to now do the boss's bidding. He has, now those of you who know D&D very well, why does he get 2 actions? I've made a little mini boss out of creating kind of 2 monsters in one. It's like 2 monsters in one skin. So he gets 2 sets of actions and reactions. Just for those of you out there wondering what the hell's going on, It's just a little trick that I do as a DM, where I don't have to buy a million books to figure out the right monsters. I've made my monster very quickly. So he's able to do an attack. What attack is he going to do? Well, I think he's got number 7, he's got number 9. Does anyone want to volunteer for being hit? Otherwise, I'm going to do it randomly. 7 or 9? Say, me, I want to be hit. Okay, so it is odd at 7. It is odd, it's number 7. Okay, so it chooses you with an attack. And it pulls out one of his torture, one of these like nasty sort of long pliers, or like pruning shears, but is very adept at them and uses them like a weapon against you. And first with that, against your armor class, an 18 against your armor class.
Armor class is 18 anyway.
I've got 12.
12, because you're a wizard in the middle of the fray. You take 4 points of damage, wizard. Now it's going to attack the other one, but it's sort of a slow attack, so he's basically not be able to, so number 9 is going to go after you. But he's sort of a little bit slow. He has a disadvantage on this attack. He has a 7 against your armor. So you're able to step out of the way.
Yep.
Okay. And that's all he can do. He'd normally be doing more attacking, but because of the sleep spell, he decided to wake up a kobold instead. And I think he's not going to move. He's just basically, he's got kind of used 2 weapons and 2 different arms. He's sort of aiming at both of you. Being next to this guy is dangerous. Moving away from him is also a little bit dangerous, but we'll settle that later. Okay. That was the boss. But now all the kobolds following his orders are going to keep going. So, wake them up! So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this one moves over and wakes this one up, but that's his whole action. I'll remember that later on. Let's see. Player number 1, where are you?
Me?
Yeah.
So on the green.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so could you move that chip right up next to the green, and it's going to attack with his dagger. This little kobold. Yep.
That's the one.
Stabs at you with a 17. I believe that's enough to...
I'm on a class 8.
Ah, you raise your shield. Yeah, shield gives you 1 extra point, so that definitely
Like, 'cause
gets
I've got
taken by the
all my
shield. Yeah,
equipment now,
that's
so-
good. That's why you got all your equipment on. Good choice. That saved you some damage. That was a nasty hit. Player number 2. Let's just sort of do this. Player number 2. I don't think anything happens there. We got a lot of things asleep. Player number 3. Where are you at on the board? Oh, yeah. So this one over here, he squeezes through the bars, because these kobolds are little, right? And he sort of knows sort of his way in. He squeezes the bars and he starts chasing you down. So going after number 3. You're number 3. Yep. Yeah. Oh, you came over to help, and now you're getting the reward for being helped.
Thanks.
Squeezes through the bars and tries to attack you with the dagger. But with an 8, you jump out of the way. That's not a problem for you. Player number 4, where are you? Yeah, okay. So he, let's see. This one was asleep, or did that fall off?
You took it over to see what the number was.
Oh, yeah. So this number 4 isn't doing anything because it's asleep. And that was one that was sort of eyeing you before. Who's player number 5?
I'm next to 4.
Okay.
All 3 of those are asleep.
Yeah, that's right. All 3. Yep, 5. Yep. You're the kobold is going after you is asleep. Good job. Who's player number 6? Yep. This one was eyeing you, came over and woke up this other kobold. Who's player number 7? Yeah, where are you on the board? Okay, this one, freshly awakened from that sleep spell, is going to do something about it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can't really quite. It's going to go over here and try to hit you with the sling. So, yeah, being close to the fray still is a bit of a problem. It's going to try to go after you. This might take you down if I roll high enough. With an 11? Your armor class is 12, isn't it? Most wizards would have been hit by that, but you are quite fast on your feet. You, faster than almost any wizard in the land, kind of cartwheel out of the way and avoid the sling bolt that goes past you. Good job. Number 8 is over here, yes. So that one's just going to do what you want it to do, which is come up and attack you. With an 11, that one does not hit you. Scratches your armor. Number 9, where are you on the board?
Right there.
Oh, yeah, okay. But this one, this one being asleep, it doesn't, nothing happens. That was the one that was sort of designated for you. And number 10, where are you on the board? Okay.
I'm over here.
Okay. Again, this one is, boss, I think I got a feeling, but let me go over and stab him. It's like, no, you're staying here with me. I need you for protection. So, you know that there's definitely a lot of ordering. You also know that he's calling down the corridor, More kobolds, he says. So you think that he is the center of attention. Now you've learned this scene that you think that the kobolds are so scared and they're going to keep on coming. The real enemy here is this boss. So I recommend that you focus on that. But that one tries to shoot at you with a sling, but is going through all these bars and through all these other people. It rolls a 20, but your armor class is a little bit higher than that. What's number 10? Where are you? Still enough to hit you, I'm afraid. So
But he's behind bars.
yeah, but so his armor class is effectively 2 higher because of all the obstructions, but it's only 2 higher, and I still rolled a 20. Barely enough to get you. But that's all right. You've got the hit points for it. You get a little bit of a sling ding for 3 points of damage on you.
He can heal himself.
And that's all. All right. Now, so you know that again, and also I always end by 9:30 and ideally close to 9. So this is probably the last round before we have a chance, and things are stacking up. So focus on the boss.
I was going to check. Cleric, over here, you don't have your weapons yet, do you? All right, well, I'm over there near the backpacks.
I'm still bound.
You've been casting spells.
Go on without me.
Well, can I not get you your holy symbol so then you can and do some other
I can already heal without it.
Yeah, you did.
But now you can do an
I forget what you did.
attacking.
What did you do last turn?
I healed the.
Yeah. You've been doing all right. Yeah, but still, the holy symbol.
But I have 5 hit points. So
Okay.
I'm not. I don't know.
You're over here.
Because I was going to say, what I could do is get you your holy symbol, so then you could attack with sacred flame.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's an attacking spell because you'll be within
Sure.
range.
Yeah, and you're near each other.
Thank you.
Well, I'm
No.
over there with backpack, so I can go.
It would be the same as when he got.
Okay, yeah. So let's say you do that as an item interaction because things with this, you've been sort of kicking it along, so you are able to do that. But that's your item interaction.
Yeah.
But you can still take an action and move. So good job. You've now got your holy symbol.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Does
So-
she have to move first before she?
Yeah. So was it you were near the backpacks, weren't you?
So I'm the green
Yeah.
token.
Yeah. So it was already over there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're set.
So
It
now
just
I.
like slides it across. The floor.
Okay, so I've done that, and then I still can do something.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I've got this kobold here, number 1 right in front of me.
Yeah.
Can I attack it with my warhammer?
Yes, pull out that warhammer and swing it at that kobold, please. So
Okay.
you've got your bonuses at +4 on that.
Yeah. I don't know what else to do with that. Sorry.
Roll a d20,
Okay.
and you add 4 because you're strong
Does that
and you're
matter that
proficient with.
says D8?
That's damage. So that only happens if you hit. So
Oh,
first step
okay.
is d20 to see if you hit, and that's
Okay.
that's what you do. D20 +4 against AC.
10 plus 4, 14.
14 is enough. A kobold's AC is not that high. It tries to jump out of the way. Now do your damage, and this happens for all of you in the weapons. Next to great axe is the damage does 1d8 plus 2. So there's a d8 floating around here somewhere. I can find
they're
another
both
one.
together.
That's
Yeah.
fine. I'll circulate one. Roll that and add 2 to it.
Oh, 3.
3. That's on your
So,
average.
sorry, 3 plus 2.
Is 5. That's enough to kill the kobold because he says 5 hit points. Give me yes. All right, splat. That one just gets hammered.
This one?
Yep, give me that one over there. As soon as that happens, the kobold's like, like that was a massive, like they're swinging, like we had things hitting the floor and whatever else, but like this kobold just gets splatted, right? And just all the kobolds, they seem to really be affected by this. And like, boss, these are not like ordinary prisoners. Like, I think we ought to leave. And they're like, no, I'm going to eat everybody. We're going to get more kobolds. Just keep throwing kobolds at them. So it's like, oh man, they're looking at each other quite nervous. So you can tell they're losing heart the more they're falling asleep and being sort of nearly hit like that. And you can move a little bit if you like, if you want to move away from there.
I'm good.
What are you going to do?
Can I magic missile all the way from over here to over there?
Yes, magic missiles go very far. It's a powerful
Thank you.
spell. The nice thing is that magic missiles always hit. They do only a little bit of damage. They always hit. When you do that, 3 bolts fly from your hands. You have to pick your target. You can put all 3 on one target, or you can spread them amongst targets.
One target is going for the sleeping one, and then
Okay.
two of them are going for the other kobold.
The kobold, the kobold or the goblin? Yeah, the kobold. Yeah, that's the kobold. Yeah.
One there, 2 there.
Okay, great. When you cast a magic missile, the first thing you roll a d4 and you add 1 to it.
How do I know that?
This
Two.
is the number that's straight up.
Oh,
yeah,
2.
so he's on the top, he's on the bottom. Okay, that kobold is badly wounded. This arcane bolt flies out, snakes towards it, and bam, sort of knocks her over, wakes her up. She's wounded, but she is not killed because it didn't do 5 points of damage to her. So that's fine. 2 more bolts on this. So roll that against that kobold.
1.
Okay, 1 plus 1 is another 2. Wounds it.
Another 1.
1 plus 2, but the way I do this with this, when somebody takes 2 successive damage, it's called minion rules. This thing is killed by that second one. This boss over here is like, what was this? Like tries to reach over and was trying to reach this kobold to use it again, but the DM didn't think of it. The boss didn't think of it and was just asleep. So that was a tactical error on the boss's part. It's like, oh, too late. So the boss is trying to lose control of the battle. So good job. Your turn. What are you gonna do?
I'm over there.
You got a kobold next to you. Now, running away from it is a little bit dangerous, so you can try and dispatch it, but you can also shoot. You know, you say, no, I'm going to survive this kobold. I'm going to use your bow to start shooting into the fray. Over there.
I have my whole backpack with me now.
Yeah, you're all equipped.
I grabbed that.
Yep, you're all set.
Didn't know I grabbed my whole backpack. Cool. Okay then. Feels like it's too close to shoot, but I'll try it. I'll shoot it if I can. I'll shoot it in the eye.
What, this kobold next to you?
Yeah.
You're better off
Too
attacking
close?
with a short sword. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to shoot a bow things next to you. I was just saying you could shoot your bow into the fray over here.
Oh, in the fray.
Yeah, at the boss. Because focusing on the boss is a good idea. You think that the kobold's going to keep coming as long as this boss is doing
alive.
well.
I'll shoot the boss then.
Okay. All right. So ignoring the kobold next to you, you pull out your bow. You've got some people in the way here. To get a clear shot at the boss, you have a choice. You can move away from this kobold. It'll get a free swing at you, but you will get a free shot at a clear shot at the boss. Or if you're right here, you can try to aim at the boss, and your chance of hitting are a little bit less because of all the crowd. What do you do?
I have 5 hit points left. Just
You have
flying out.
Can he damage his allies?
No.
Don't
worry about it.
Don't give the DM ideas.
That's fine. That'd be a good story, but no, that's not the rule.
I'm
So it
saying
just means
one
that complicates the shot a little bit.
Right,
Just
no
makes it less
friendly
like
fire.
So you have a slightly higher chance of hitting if you move away, but you take some risk because this kobold might hit you. Or you can fire and have less chance of hitting, but not take any risk. What do you do?
If I move away, I can duck, and he might only hit my shoulder.
Sure. Yeah, because he's going to roll a d20 like anything else.
You have dodge, so you make sure harder to hit.
Yeah, I do.
Well, that's accounted for in your armor class. So, basically, your armor class is representing your ability to dodge out of the way of things. Okay, so you're going to try and move away to get a
try to
clear
move
shot
to
of the
the-
boss.
to the best
All right.
shot.
So let me. I'm going to roll him to try to strike it. Ooh, with the 22, he manages. You try to duck out of the way, but you feel like the dagger bite into your back as you leave and it cuts through your leather armor. You do take some damage, I'm afraid, because the dice said so. You take 4 points of damage. Oh, that's the first damage. No, you're already a little damaged.
Does he still move that?
Yep, but you still get to keep on going. So you move. I'll say you move about over here to get a nice clear shot at the boss. Okay,
Right
so
near a cleric.
yeah. Now, next to your short bow, there is a number, and that's the bonus to whether you can hit the boss or not. And you got a nice clear shot.
Oh.
Yeah, good. You help each other out, please.
5. Yeah.
Good. So you'll roll a d20 and add 5 to it to see if you're able to hit. Oh, sorry, that counts as a 0.
Which would
I'd
be an
borrow somebody
interesting
else's.
thing
borrow
to
somebody
roll
else's.
in itself.
That's good. You can give somebody else's d20. Oh, there.
That says 12 plus 5.
17. It's a good thing you got a clear shot because this boss, like it hits the armor and you think like it hits, it's like, oh, that must have hit the armor, but you realize like blood starts pouring out because you're able to get into a gap. More importantly, you nicked an artery of the boss because this is a sneak attack. Because you've got friends next to the boss, remember I said you do extra damage, your sneak attack damage 1 point less and you wouldn't have hit it. But because you took that chance and moved away, took that damage, you got that free shot. Otherwise, the boss wouldn't have been hit. See how these tactics, all these little things to sort of make it interesting. So you get to do quite a bit of damage. Next to your bow, it shows a damage number. Was it like D6 plus something?
Plus 3
Yeah.
piercing.
So-
1d6 plus 3 piercing.
That's your basic damage. So let's start off with that. Roll a D6, which is fine. Roll that one. And add 3 to it. Yeah, very old from an old board game, probably from my childhood. Okay. That starts off with 7 points of damage. However, because that sneak attack damage, you get to roll that thing again. So 7, roll that dice again.
This one.
Yeah, and we add it to the 7. That's called sneak attack damage. All right, still, it's starting to bleed out, right? So that's 8 points of damage to the boss. And for the first time, the boss is taking damage, which is good. So he's going to get weaker as he goes. As you attack, you can do a number of things. You can weaken a foe. You can knock them out with a bow and arrow. You have no choice but to sort of kill them. Okay. All right, so Good. Concentrating the boss is a good thing. Let's go for it. Let's focus now.
So, yeah, I want to grab my bow and
Yeah.
I want to shoot the boss.
Yes, exactly.
So,
Good. It's just try to get yourself in a good
with
position for
regards
it.
to my longbow, there's a star here saying shoot bow 150 feet.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah, that just means that something's very far away, get disadvantage, but that's a very long distance bow.
Okay,
So where are you? Yeah, you're number 4.
I'm right here. So
Yeah.
can I hit the boss from where I'm standing?
You can, but you don't want to fire through anybody. So I get a little bit closer, so you can like move over to this side here, sort of like your friend. Maybe over on this side, get near where your friend is. Yeah.
Could I?
Yeah, we'll be approximate. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, through to the boss.
And yeah, I would like to shoot the boss.
Good. Let's go for it. Roll that d20. And what do you add to it? This next to your longbow work.
Is this a 6 or a 9?
The dot is like imagine there's a period after it, so it's like a period at the end.
Oh, okay, 9.
9.
Yeah.
Very good. And add your on next to your longbow. There's a number.
So it's a 7.
Okay. So add all that together.
16.
16. Oh, it hits. Remember how I said only 1 point would have made the difference? 16. It hits the arm, one of those one of the bits of skull. But no. What it comes over is this boss here grabs this kobold. It's always been reaching for these kobolds. It grabs the kobold and holds it up in the path, and the arrow goes through the kobold's eye and kills the kobold, but the boss is untouched as a result of that. So, okay, well, at least you got rid of the kobolds at least. What are you going to do?
Well, I've got all the same skills, so I was thinking
work
of
together is good.
moving to then hit the boss again. And
Yeah.
I guess I can probably
Same position, same tactic.
Do I have to do the
now
same?
this is
'Cause
clear.
Now it's clear. So
Very
this might be a
good.
better
Yes,
option.
indeed. Oh, you got a nice clear shot. Go for it. Maybe this one will succeed more.
And I was gonna do
Roll
my
that
bow.
d20 and add that 7 to it. Let's see how we do.
19.
19, yeah. At the last second, he reaches around, but there's no kobold next to him. You've cleared those out very nicely, so he's unable to defend himself. The 19 is a great hit. Next to the bow, you've got what's the next number next to the 2 hit bonus? This is your damage. What does it say?
Plus 3 piercing.
Yeah,
One
so might say
D8.
D8. So
One
that means
D8
an
plus
8-sided
three.
die. So we'll get another 8-sided die down there. Hey. Yeah, sure. Remember, it needs to be pulled a little bit, so some pulp needs to be done. Are you done?
Yes.
Okay, great. Can you hand that over to Mel, please? Thank you, Mel.
Thank you.
We're going to Brewdog afterwards. If you want to join us, okay, great.
I just rolled 2 plus 3, 5.
Plus 3, 5 points of damage. Good. Whittling that boss down. Okay, undefended. That boss is losing hit points and starting to bleed quite badly. And the kobolds are all like, they're like looking at each other like, this is not going real well. It's like, boss, you're not looking really well. Are you sure you don't want to retreat? And the boss is like, no, we're going to stay here because you're going to defend me. And like, yeah, we're going to defend you. They're starting to look quite shifty as the boss is trying to get knocked down. So you can tell the tide of the battle is starting to be affected by hitting this boss. Like, I thought the boss was, I thought nothing could kill the boss. What are you going to do?
I am going to cast Sacred Flame
Oh,
on the
yeah.
boss.
Great. Sacred Flame, the good thing is like even if he had a kobold next, he can't turn anywhere. It comes from below, above, like is your Sacred Flame, where's so from above this radiant flame comes down. He has to make
But
he has to make a dexterity saving throw. He's a little bit dexterous, but I have to make a certain number. Now, we established this before. It was a 13. You're the same character.
Yep.
On the very, very back, it says something called the spell save DC. Yeah, and that's the number that I'm using. So
Okay.
the 13 is based on your wisdom, and it gets higher. So he has to get a 13. He's got a little bit of a bonus. See if you can get out of the way. No, an 8 plus what I'm adding here is not enough. He takes the damage from Sacred Flame. Good job. The flames consume him. And I'm going to look up how much damage does it say there, what Sacred Flame does. I'll look it up myself. Next to,
13 or 1d8.
yeah, 1d8. Okay, good.
Yes, thank you.
There you go. You roll 1d8 damage. See how much of this boss takes. Yeah. Okay, 2 points of damage, still chipping away. But all these things, even more importantly than the damage does, it's like his arm is starting to wither, and he's been like attacking both of his arms, but now his arm is starting to sort of like sag. He drops one of the torch arms, sort of falls to the ground because his hand is getting all burned from that. You've gotten past this point where he's starting to weaken, and keep on focusing on him. We might do this. Go ahead.
Okay, well, he's going down now. Magic missile.
Yes,
so,
okay.
I'm not sure where I am. I'm number 7.
Right there.
Yeah.
There you
Why don't
Yeah.
the clearest
The good
shot.
thing is that they always hit. So normally you'd have to step back to fire a bow or whatever, but they always hit. You're like basically like pow, 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 like right into his face, from right from your hand to his face.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you see that D4? Yeah, that's great. Yep. So we'll add it up 3 times. So you're going to do all 3 bolts to him. You don't have to give all 3 to him. You can spread it around a little bit.
Can I see how much damage he's going to get? After
No, you have to decide. You have to decide
Alright,
he's getting all
I'll
3.
let's take him out.
He's getting all 3, of course.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll add 1 to that. Say that's 3 so far, because every time you roll that, it's D4 plus 1. So that's 3 points of damage. Number 4, that's 7 points of damage. Good. Ooh, with a 4 plus another 6, that's 7 plus 13 points of damage.
Blow his head off.
Yeah, bam, bam, bam. His arm gets ripped off, like that sort of charred arm that he was doing. It rips off, and like the kobolds duck as this sort of torture implement, sort of pliers that he's holding onto, sort of fall over. And the boss is like armless, they say to each other. And blood is starting to gush from the boss. And you think that a little bit more of this, and he is going to go down. It's like, that kobold scum, you get with me, or Ziggy will turn you into stage props. But he's looking very desperate, and the kobolds are trying to edge away from him. What are you going to do?
Head towards the boss and do an attack.
Yeah, okay, great.
Boss,
Where are you on the field?
Yes, here.
Okay. Now, so you got a kobold, but you just sort of ignore the kobold. Is there anything that you think might be able to get you out of trouble with the kobold as you go? Anybody got any ideas? Like, if you want to run away from the kobold and you don't want to...
Just look at him and just tell him like you're either with us or you're gonna die with him.
Exactly. So what you're going to do is you use your charisma, your power of personality.
Yep.
Roll a d20 and add your charisma bonus.
17 plus
Oh.
2.
Not only is like that, like you basically, what do you say to the kobold? Like, what do you do to intimidate this kobold? Yeah, just very simple.
Fuck around and find out.
Don't you fucking dare. And like, all the kobold like puts his hands up, and all the other kobolds like, and the boss says, "You're not allowed to surrender." He's talking to the kobolds. "I will eat you." It's like, I'll take my chances, boss. And the other kobold's like, "Yeah, what the fuck are we doing here?" So not only have you gotten away from that kobold, you can run up to the boss now. Please do. Okay. So 1, 2. Ooh, you're a little far away from the boss. We got to do square by square. You can run through this kobold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can get here. What I advise is you take out a javelin, right? That's the second weapon that you have. You just pull it off your back and just like fling it at the. You're within 30 feet, so you can go a shorter distance. It could do pretty good damage as well.
Well, hit him and throw him down the tunnel. The force of it.
So what's the number next to the javelin?
+5.
Okay, so roll your d20 and add 5 because it's still strength.
4 plus 5.
No, not enough. So it hits the armor, but still the javelin's kind of hanging out of the boss, and you're still wearing down the confidence. You didn't do any damage, but you're still turning the tide. What do you do?
Come on, you're with the axe.
Yeah.
No. See, I've had an idea, and I want to see if it.
Okay, what's the idea?
Do it quick.
Unionize a kobold.
Shut up.
Yeah, that's great.
He's armless. So
Just do that afterwards. Look, they're sleeping. We can capture them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll swing the axe then.
Yeah, talking is great to do outside of combat. During combat, I advise is kind of go for it. But the way you treat the kobolds from this point on could actually increase. So I'm noting like how you're behaving towards the kobolds, like running away, convincing him to stand down instead of just chopping him. This affects the kobold's mood. So you could unionize them later if you're nice enough.
And
have you moved yourself towards the boss?
I'm right next to the boss.
You're right there. Okay, go for it.
And am I right here? This companion is going to get a go as well.
No, so he's not a combatant, but during combat, she's not a combatant, but she can do things when things get very dire. You'll find out later. So she will do things to try to save you during combat, but she's not a fighter. It's just combat's slow enough.
Let's hope this does something here.
Oh, you roll a 1. It just means that you miss, right? But please tell me the story of how badly you fucked this up, because this dramatic mode is like, okay, this is my big moment, but something terrible happens.
Okay.
Surely you've like hit yourself.
Something.
Let's not give him any.
What's your idea? You tell the story of how you fuck it up.
Okay, instead of an overhead swing, we go for the round.
I see where this is going.
And the goblin just steps back a little bit. He's got no arms. He just goes. And it just misses him completely.
Yeah, you do such a big drawback, like, here I come. And it's like the boss, like,
telegraph it.
But
telegraph it.
But as I go along, the weight of the great axe keeps it going.
Yeah, nearly hits the clarity
Yes.
behind you. It's like, whoa, watch out. Okay, try to finish this thing off. So if you go up against the boss, you might tip the battle.
Well, I have the sacred flame again because I'm too far away.
Okay, good. Yes. Yep.
so that was.
reaches
Do I have
any
to roll a
distance.
save versus the?
No, so it's a 13, right? So I've got to get 13. This boss, this is a big roll. All right, let's see. Let's see if the boss tries to dodge out of the way. Where does the flames come from? Above, below, what color?
Oh,
are they?
above.
Sideways.
Yeah,
Then it comes down.
From the tunnel.
All right. No, with a 5. No, a 5 plus something, which is not high enough to match your 13. You do sacred flame damage, which is D8. Roll a D8.
Oh,
But it's spectacular. And at the end here, you've all got a couple rounds, and just like this boss tries to move out of the way, and it's not the amount of damage, it's just having this holy light that's already seen. And the kobold's like, they have like gods on their side. Like, what's this fucker ever do for us? And so the kobold's like, we're getting out of here. Like, between the way that you've intimidated them, the amount of damage this has, the boss like, no, I'm going to stay here. The kobolds start rushing towards the exit, and maybe towards the boss. All of you, as the kobolds run, have a choice. You can start to route the kobolds. They say, yep, we're going to kill as many kobolds as possible. And I'm not going to make you roll dice for it. You're just going to say, we're just going to do general mayhem as the kobolds try to retreat. Or, and killing kobolds might be a good thing. They are your captors, after all. And they're going to run back to where their stronghold is. However, you could sort of just let them go with some dire warnings, and maybe this will affect how they feel about you later on. So do a quick sort of discussion and vote about how you're going to treat
I
the
vote we
kobolds.
keep the kobolds because they know the lay of the land, and we can learn from that.
Everybody has a say.
I vote we funnel the kobolds to the boss to take him out as they escape.
If we,
Okay,
if we
okay.
convince them to
That'd be
kill
fun,
the
yeah.
boss, and then we
Yeah,
ally
well,
ourselves.
yeah. By not killing
Yeah.
them, you might control their
Can
path.
we
Okay.
small
Yeah.
while
Hey,
too, just cause?
We'll make a point if they.
Bring us a picture of the kobolds.
yeah, I'll try. No, I'll show it here. But yeah, they're little. They look very dragon-like, and they're basically.
They're cute.
Oh,
We don't want to
Well, they're about as tall as.
They're also
so they go up to
slavers,
about-
so let's
yeah.
not get too cute on them.
So we'll eventually do a vote. Like we try to
They're
keep group
afraid of
consensus.
the-
So I'm going to try and make
They're
it simple, like
still slavers.
either try to let the kobolds go, maybe channel them a bit, in order to get on the good side, or kill as many kobolds as possible. So we're going to vote thumbs up or thumbs down. Like this means kill as many as possible. This means let them escape. Discuss for 1 more minute about and try to sell each other. Because each of you are going to vote up or
something
down.
else later.
We need them because we do not
Well,
know
you've already
this
spoken.
dungeon.
You've already spoken. So everybody's spoken. Be
I
quiet.
think it's a pretty vast place, and there's more that we haven't seen.
Okay.
And so they're probably.
Who else has got opinions?
good on that
I'm
side.
all for the sanctity of life.
How about you?
I will let this go now.
Okay. All right, goes now. What do you think?
I'm not too sure because if they turn on their boss, they'll turn on us.
Ah, okay. What do you think?
I've 0 intelligence, so I
I think
don't.
it'll.
I don't think.
Anybody else hasn't given their
Well, we
opinion yet?
need to
Wanna
find
comment?
our way out
Really
right
nice.
later on, so
Well,
it might be
yeah,
easier
okay.
if the kobolds alive.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think so
Oh.
too.
Went too nice.
So based on that, I'll count to 3, 2, 1. We either do thumbs up, we're going to let them go, or thumbs down, we're going to kill as many as possible. On 3, 2, 1, vote. Okay, I see a lot of thumbs up. That's okay. Having differences is great, but the majority says okay. You all sort of agree quickly as a group, like okay, let's keep our powder dry on this one. And the kobolds, but as they run by, you sort of they go through, and a number of the kobolds just come out, they like stab at the boss as it goes, and the boss turns on, what are you doing? You can't attack me! And the kobolds stab them in the back. By the time they leave, the boss has fallen down and is bleeding out heavily with a lot of little daggers, little tiny cute daggers stuck all over him. So the boss has dead.
Except for the 3 that are actually still.
Oh yeah, they wake up. They wake up.
They can use
They wake up their companions. They go over and shake their companions awake. You have prevailed against this combat, so very good job. Very good. Okay, you survived. A lot of good stuff there. We have a few minutes left. If you're, I'll do loot, and then we'll have a little discussion about it. If you're itching to go, you'll be able to go in just a few minutes. Like I said, I try in between 9 and 9:30, especially with a group this big. All right. So the kobolds also, as they scatter, you hear them go down the hall, and you hear the metal gate slam shut. So like you hear their voices get small, and some sort of they're obviously gone somewhere safe. Thogrim, of course, is alive and very thankful. So I've made a note of how grateful Thogrim is to be alive. Loot, you all have agreed as adventurers code. You split loot evenly. So this is what it is. First of all, items. You each have kobold manacles. The ones that were around you, you now have. You can use them on somebody else if you want. Just write down kobold, K-O-B-O-L-D, kobold manacles or handcuffs. And then write 2 SP. I'll write your kobold here because I'm going to refer to them a few times. and then 2 SP. It means you can sell these for 2 silver pieces to anybody who.
So if we had SP from before, do we just add it to that?
So that'd be coins. This just write that down as an item. So if it's a coin, you put it in that little bucket, right? These are not coins yet. These are
So
just
we'd have to use it or sell it.
you have to sell it. You have to find somebody who's willing to buy it. Like the kobolds probably wouldn't buy them back on.
SP from last.
You did, but this would be coins. Yeah. So you can find wealth in coins, where you just increase the number.
You're talking about the
That's
silver
what it's
bracelet.
worth.
Yeah.
That's what it's worth.
Yeah, it's the
exactly.
value. It's not
Yeah,
just
put in parentheses afterwards. So it's just a reminder when you sell it later on, you can sell it for 2 SP later on. So you just write it down as a separate line, kobold manacles, then put little parentheses 2 SP, just to remind you how much you think they're worth. You split up from the kobolds, you each get 10 copper pieces. So now these are coins. There's a CP bucket at the very top of those numbers. So these little buckets here in your equipment thing, you see there's a tiny faint little CP next to it, copper pieces. And that's what 10 copper pieces is equivalent to a silver piece. And a silver piece is, it's like a $5 note, right? It's not bad. So you get something, and things are cheap, it's medieval. So write down 10 CP, or add 10 CP to your coins that you got there.
So we had 9 CP from last time.
Now, some of you all had different amounts, yeah, people with different amounts, so you just go and add that up.
You had 9 CP from last.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
You didn't.
Oh, from the giant, yeah, from the giant baby.
Oh, yeah. That's
Yeah.
like a wagon fell down.
Remember what it was.
Each of you, as you split things up, because some dead kobolds and some sort of drop things as they went, maybe throwing them at you, you each end up with some beads. They're like beads on a circular string, and they're kind of nice and fiddly. They make like little clicky sounds. They're kind of like they make nice sort of sounds, and they feel very nice in your hands. The beads are all the same. There's 5 colors of glass in these beads, and the colors are red, blue, green, black, and white. Red, blue, green, black, and white. Who here is trained in religion? Who's proficient at religion? Okay. Yeah, so if it's listed on your skill. Yeah, you're right. So roll your religion. Would that be intelligence plus, I think only the clerics?
Just
Oh, no, that's right. The wizards do
with a
too. Yeah.
D20, you mean?
Yeah, the D20, and add whatever your religion bonus is.
20.
Ah!
Sorry, what are we adding the religion bonus to?
To a D20.
Wait.
So by default,
Is that
yeah.
because of these beads?
Yep, you're trying to recognize these beads. Yeah, you roll 20.
It's
So
clear.
17.
No, it's anybody proficient in religion.
Okay.
Yeah.
13.
Yeah, it's
So
proficient.
total of 15. No?
Okay, 15. Good. You put your heads together, but you have, because you rolled a 20, you've studied this extensively. I know what these are. These are prayer beads, and they're prayer beads for Tiamat. Remember we talked about Tiamat earlier?
Dragon God.
The 5 colors are the 5 colors. Tiamat has 5 heads. She has a red dragon head, a blue dragon head, a green dragon head, a black dragon head, a white dragon head. And she can attack with all of them. She's very terrifying. These kobolds worship Tiamat in particular, and very devoutly. Like these prayer beads that they all have must mean this is a very important thing to know about how to manipulate them. You got some idea, but this very much clarifies it. Write down Tiamat prayer beads, but write down advantage, permanent advantage. Anytime you make a roll regarding these beads, you get to roll twice and take the higher of the 2.
One thing that I think everyone's forgotten about. The dwarf.
Yep, yeah, the dwarf. The dwarf has just been sort of going around, but we'll get to that. So he's been looking at you ever since this happened with at least a neutral impression. So
Well,
you're
I
not
was
trouble.
going to talk to him on my turn. I haven't forgotten about it.
Okay, great.
Sorry, did you say torch?
Talk to him.
He's a ghost.
So we're wrapping up here, but
Dwarf.
there's always stuff for next time as well. Okay, but there's a little bit that will come from him. So everybody write down Tiamat prayer beads.
Everybody gets them.
Where's my black pen? Here it is.
Tiamat. And after that, because you know so much about them, because this person rolled a 20, you all have a good story to tell about them. So you can sell them for more. Just write down 6 SP, so little brackets afterwards. You think you can sell them for 6 silver pieces. Don't try to sell them to the kobolds, of course, but somebody else might buy them. So write down, Tiamat prayer beads, 6 SP. Okay. Now, the boss has a lot of little torture needles and implements. A lot of the implements are sort of, maybe they've been broken up by the battle. But as you divvy them up, you can choose to, if you like, have a torture needle. It's a wicked sort of iron needle, a little saw or a little hook or a little blade at the end of it. But it's very good quality metal. But if you're examined and caught with it, it makes you look like you're a torturer. You're really into torture. So it's covered with blood. It's really nasty. If you choose, you can write down in your equipment goblin torture needle.
Is it like pretty much?
Write down 10 CP. It's worth 10 copper pieces.
Is it like a sewing needle, but like a gigantic one? Is it
It's pretty big. Yeah, it's like probably about the size of like a knitting needle, but it's got something very wicked. It's got a wicked little saw or hook or little scissors or something at the end, like serrated. It's really
Could it be
nasty.
used as thieves' tools?
No, it cannot. Those are very specialized. We like to keep thieves special that way.
Can we use it for cutting things?
Yeah, you'd be able to piercing and cutting
Primarily
things.
what
Yeah.
they're used for.
Yeah.
Could it come to bite us in the bum later if someone finds it?
You do know that you'd have to explain why you have a torture implement in your pocket.
Oh, that's
Like
fine.
it's main.
It's obviously, yeah.
Okay.
It's unmistakable. It's covered with little runes and things like that. It just looks wicked. There's no denying
Would
it.
you recommend that we all?
It
I
washes.
can't make, I'm not going to make
How much
recommendations.
does it
This is your
worth
choice.
again?
Worth 10 copper pieces. So write down Goblin
I'm
Torture
taking it.
Needle, 10 CP, if you choose to have it.
Those people want the money.
Speaking of gross stuff, you see that around his muscular, chubby neck is something sort of digging into it. And as you reveal it, he has this special necklace. It's an iron chain, and there's a lot of things strung on the necklace, like little blobs or nuts or something. You realize that they are fingertips. Like 15 fingertips. Each one has been severed. Some are very fresh, some are months old and nearly skeletal. But there's only one of them. It is called the Necklace of Fingertips. And anybody who wishes to go for it would now roll a d20, and whoever's the highest gets this one item. If you want the Necklace of Fingertips, roll a d20 now and compare it to yours.
Magic.
3, 2, 1.
Oh,
You don't know.
I think.
I can't see. Was it
18.
3?
Ah.
Yes.
Okay, so write down Necklace of Fingertips.
You can have that.
Folk hero.
Isn't it?
Necklace of
She's watching the Ranger.
It's not worth anything. You don't know who would buy it. It's worth 0, but ooh, boy, it's gross.
Get someone the finger.
Underneath the armor, you notice also there's a long, very fine silver chain that this boss is wearing. And at the end of the silver chain, there's like a little claw, and there's a stone set at the end of the claw, like jewelry would have, like a nice little jewelry setting. But the stone at the end does not look like a precious gem. It is this black metal. It's like this nugget of black metal. And it thrums with this weird sort of energy. Like it's got this weird energy signature coming from it. And also, the weird thing is like, you stare at it, and it confuses your eye. Like, for a moment, you think, like, this thing's the size of a mountain and it's very far away. No, it's the size of a grain of sand. It's right up against my eyeball. No, it's just the size of a corn kernel. It's like, I can't make sense of it. And he's like, well, it's got a number of sides, but no matter how many times you count the number of sides, it always comes up as a different number. It's like this really weird blob of metal, black metal, with sort of like rainbow reflections in it. This is only one of them, and it's on a silver necklace. So again, if you wish to have this, you don't have to wear it, but if you want to have it, roll a d20 now.
Come on, mate.
19.
Ah.
19.
Anybody else beating a 19?
You got 19,
right?
19? 19 wins it. Okay. Write down, because you've detected it, it's got a chaos energy. It's a chaos shard. Write down chaos shard on necklace. Now you can choose to put it on, or you can choose to
It's
keep
going
it.
on.
Okay. You now wear it, and as when you wear it, we'll describe later on, but it's like, ooh, it's like, it hangs like right over kind of like your heart. It feels like, ooh, I feel like I have a little
This can already go well.
I feel like I have a little friend.
For
Like,
someone.
you get like this sort of surge of like emotions and memories and things a little bit, and you can see all the. It sort of glimmers a couple different colors, like a little bit of rainbow color sort of appears out of it as you put it in. It's like, ooh, not sure what that does. We'll get to that later. So you got a chaos shard on a necklace.
Getting cancer.
Ah, very good. Remember the shard? Let me at the shard. Yeah, that makes it right. Because of this, I'll reveal. Yes, you've heard that chaos shards are. That's why they're called the caves of chaos. These things are buried all around the caves of chaos. These little bits of chaos energy that attracts monsters and has power of some sort. So you're right, and that must be what that voice was talking about. Let me at the shard. I'll get the shard.
Is it the same as the energy thing that some of us felt earlier?
Very good. And now that you've put that together, it's like, right, that little energy signature that you felt is that. Maybe if you go back to that tunnel, you might find more of these things because you sort of detected it.
We'll get next places.
Yeah. Very good, very good. Putting, see, I love that. That's what you do. You put sort of little bits together, drop you little breadcrumbs.
Maybe you'll be able to Dragon Ball Z power up.
Just
We'll
get cursed by some
people
eldritch
leave and go by
god.
9:30 at the latest.
Okay.
Normally, I would give you XP. I would add up all the monsters you dispatch, and you get little bits of XP, and it'd be a lot of math. But we're very early on, very big group, so you all get 100 XP. Let's just keep that simple. So on your card, you already have 50 there because of the intro. Now write down 100. Once you get to, so you have 150 total. Once you get to 300 XP, you become level 2. You get more hit points, you get more powers and stuff.
Can I ask?
So we're one
At the start, you told us that there were other bodies here. Can we try to loot the other bodies?
Well, we'll talk about what you want to do next, but it'll have to be next session, so do think about that. But yeah, you've split everything
Roll
of
for
value.
looting bodies.
No.
6,
Okay.
15.
Remember Thogrim, I've made a note of that, so allies and resources gained, that's good. So, you've learned a few different things, but you need to decide what you're going to do. Now, between sessions, I do all the work of a DM to figure out what direction you want to go. But I want to know now what you're going to commit to as your goal next session, so I can prepare that really well. And I'm going to give you a bit of a branching path now. As we play more D&D, you can be much more creative and do wild-ass things, but you're just level 1 in a dangerous place. I'm going to give you 3 choices for now, and you just vote on which of those 3, okay? So, I'm going to describe that. If you really need to leave, you can. Before you leave, please fill out your form, your little comment form. I mine this for details and data. I really do help it, so don't leave without filling that out. Yeah, just leave it on the table anywhere. Just fold it up and all that. It's all anonymous. If you do want to donate, hang around and you can tap a card, just like you did last time. I bought a whole bunch of equipment, as you can see. This is a non-profit organization. Nobody here is paid. Our volunteers aren't paid. We just do it for the love of this. But, you know, I'm losing money. I don't mind losing money on it. But I don't want to lose a lot of money on it. That's my party money. So I love donations. You can go to Patreon, which I've mentioned before, and that's listed here. You can just basically do a recurring monthly charge. Even like $1 a month unlocks videos. $5 a month unlocks more videos that you can see. That's American dollars, by the way, because it's an American company. But you'll be able to see me talk about each session. I might talk about you and what you chose. You might see how it was put together. Really fun. No spoilers, so you're not going to spoil things by watching these videos. So feel free to go to Patreon and do that if you just don't want to tap the card. So please do that before you go. But if you absolutely need to split, please do. Hopefully the gate is still open. You can come and go. But we're going to try to get you excited about options for next time. So this is optional. We're going to do a vote. Here are some things that you can do. One is we'll call the red path. And that has to do with Tor, with this ghost, right? So this ghost is impressed by all of your fighting. And he says, he gestures to the trap door. He points down and he says, "For the strong, treasure, power, join us." And he touches those red insignia in some sort of ceremonial way. So, this reminds you something else, like, there's been a lot of red mentioned in this so far. And you might remember other people who were interested in red and all that stuff. But this, if you choose the red path, you're going to go down the trap door. He's obviously inviting you to go down. It'll have a grim and dark storyline. It might have more dangers besides just monsters. It'll have some combat. It might be sort of puzzles and traps, and it's a dungeon probably down there. And also, there could be some real moral temptations, like, real test your sort of moral alignment because you're dealing with some wicked stuff. So that's the red path, if you vote for that. Next one is the silver path. Because when you go down and sort of spy on where those kobolds went to, you see, now that you can see, a big portcullis that closed off that machine shop. So now you can see there's a huge machine room full of kobolds, and all of that machinery that's been raided from the north is now in piles in that machine shop, and they're disassembling it and reassembling it into other kind of machines. They're like improvising things and gluing it or not, and zapping them together. You still hear that screaming, "I'll get the shard." This is definitely the room where that "get the shard" talk was. The portcullis has a big dragon with wings spread on it, like a big sort of symbol of a dragon on the front with 5 heads, all right, behind this portcullis. You see that on the very top, sort of perched on a platform up there, you see what looks sort of like a dragon, but it's kind of too small. Sort of dragon-like wings and a dragon-like face, but you realize, this is a kobold with wings, but they have a burned rectangle over their eyes and a silver visor hanging around their neck. Do you remember that from the introduction?
That's the bird guy, right?
Right, the one who's flying on that broom. Same kind of burn over the eyes and same silver visor. So there's another connection. That's what I'm calling the silver path there. You see the orrery there, and next to it is a chair with manacles covered with blood. This is obviously where the torture was. So the kobolds and all that were very interested in this orrery, and it seems to be connected here. And you see all that stuff there. So if you go this way, you'll start to solve a lot more mysteries. Why were you kidnapped? What's happening to these machineries? What's the deal with the silver and the silver visor and the burned eyes? So you'll have some discussion. Also, you have a chance maybe you can sway these kobolds one way or the other, especially thanks to your actions. This might have a bit more diplomacy, but everything involves combat at some point usually. So if you take that as the silver path, you vote for that. The last one is the goblin path. As you're outside, you saw all those goblins marching to the north. The goblins were being hustled along by other goblins with banners, and they're chanting, "Get machines! Get machines! Kill the natives! Take their machines!" And so they're marching that. It's pretty obvious that they're all saying, yeah, catchy. And they're speaking that in goblin language, some of you understand. So this is definitely the source of the goblin raids. This is coming from here. But instead of all this sort of puzzly stuff and all that stuff, let's just take to the fight. Let's chase those goblins down. Let's go to those farms. Let's start defending the farms. Let's chase the goblins through mountain and dale and lakes and crossing streams and swinging on vines and lots more combat. There's going to be a lot of variety of combat, a lot of sort of swashbuckling kind of adventure, right? And maybe raiding some, defending some farms, seeing more of the world, not being inside these caves. So find the source by just sort of killing them, right? Instead of figuring out what's really happening underneath it all. You'd follow as they raid north, and there's not as much story and mystery, but it'll be more action-packed. That is the goblin path if you want to choose for that. So, again, you can leave and not vote in 2 or 3 minutes. We'll take a vote. If you are leaving and you want to donate, please do. If you want to fill out your form, please do. I'll give you a couple minutes to discuss amongst yourselves what you would vote for if you're remaining after a few minutes. Okay, please do. And thank you, everybody, for playing.
These paths basically one choice and
Yes,
others,
everybody votes for one, and the majority will vote.
But I mean, like, we can't then go back to another path later.
You probably can. No, you probably can. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll give you some metagaming stuff that I wouldn't want to. You probably have a chance to choose the other ones later. Just what do you want to do next?
I'm going silver.
I want to back out.
Sorry,
Sorry,
around,
around.
I think.
Yeah, try and find some more necklaces.
And
At least take a picture later.
like I said,
Yeah.
I want
Bring on
to
shiny
try to
stuff.
organise and unionize the kobolds. We can get them to go after the goblins at the same time afterwards.
Once we find out the root cause.
Yeah,
So you thinking silver?
I'm thinking silver.
Well, that's why I was wondering if we can come back to the red path later.
Yeah, but it's that gold, that
Because I want to know
dwarf
the
has got
connection
something
between
in me.
that glass shard that you
Yes.
have and the glass
Yeah.
shards that the
That was in
that
the
the
Probably will be
apparition was
answers.
looking at. Like,
Yes.
it feels like
That-
it's a one-way mirror thingy where like he's.
That could be in your local environment, so the silver path could lead you there.
Yeah, true.
That's why I was wondering if if it's we're locked into one and then the rest are like gone.
Yeah, no, I'll give you a meta hint
The
in this kind of case. A
red
DM will
path one.
typically want to reuse content, so you'll probably be able to come back to the other ones. But, more time will have passed. Whatever, these other things will get stronger as you're ignoring them. So what do you want to attack first? What's strategically best? So,
And the ghost is also saying join us. So for the thing under the floor. So
Let's do it.
But whether that's truthful or lie or
Yeah.
but I
I
just
mean,
like,
you could be saying, yeah, come and be dead.
Could also be saying that we
Unionise us.
can get stronger and then go for the red path because we're not that far off from the same.
Yeah, so train up on silver and then come back to red and demolish
hey,
red.
can you all open that door? so
or
I'm
just
sure
make
it's
a
okay with
decision
you?
after we've done silver
Yeah.
to go goblin or red.
Yeah. Training grounds and
Yeah.
Sharky Nursery before we go to the deep sea.
And
We
who knows, we might
we
get
think so?
another couple of companions from the.
Okay, we've got one more minute before we go.
We might need the shards to do other things.
Yeah.
If you want, before if anybody goes, if you want me to hold on to your character sheets and chips, your little character chips, leave them in a pile at that end, and I'll put them into a folder that you
I
can use.
don't think we're strong enough for red yet.
I'm not
I
too
think
confident
so.
of that.
I think
Yeah.
silver's going to give us more answers as well as to why.
Silver might have shiny legs.
Thirst for knowledge.
Get silver to get strong, then go back to
Take your
red.
character
Then
chip.
red.
Oh,
Take
red
your
was like.
Oh,
red,
great,
when
yes,
you
I'll
said
take
red, I was
cash,
like,
I'll take
yeah,
four
that's
treasures.
what
That
that
sounds great.
Jump down
I put an open ledger
I
for
would go
this, and you can
silver,
take
red.
each chip.
And then we get strong enough, we go
So
get
that
a
would
little
be my-
gold.
Each
Yeah,
color
that would be
has
mine.
your character class in it. So
Why
please-
is there so many oranges? Like, does no one like?
I was
Nobody
like,
likes
no,
orange,
can I
apparently.
swap to orange?
So-
Because orange was on
Yeah,
my
you can
last
swap.
week.
Oh, this.
Yeah. So
All
so
above.
each of these five is. So let me pull up brown because nobody likes brown either.
I'll take a brown.
So
How much are they again?
for if you donate $5, you get a chip. And so pick one of these five, but also pick whatever color you like there. So if you've met $5, of course, more than 5 is welcome. If you donate 20, I'll give you all the character sheets
gotta
and
get
D20. Okay. So before that, let's do a vote before we do that, or unless you're eager to go. If anybody's ready to go and they don't want to vote, feel free to donate now. Thanks for the 10. Okay. Vote. Hold up a 1 for red, 2 for silver, or 3 for goblin path. 1, 2, or 3.
I don't mind. I'm happy to go
Okay.
for 2 if you do.
Yeah, keep your vote the same. I see a lot of 2s. Yeah, 2.
Oh,
Okay,
twos.
silver path. Great, thank you. Awesome. So I'll prepare that for next time. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed watching us teach Dungeons & Dragons to absolute beginners. Want to know more about how we do it? Then support our nonprofit mission. Unlock extensive how-to videos and use the Courage and Chaos method yourself by using free materials that we provide. You can get all that at the link that you see here. That is tinyurl.com/teachdd, or you can click that link in the description. Of course, please like, share, and subscribe. We're going to come out with these videos every 2 weeks in this series, so I will see you again soon.